gotta move my mic closer. Hold on. Hold on. Okay. Hi. Hello. Welcome back, ladies and germs. It is now time for further Ace Attorney. Also, before the stream started, I was just bopping to this music. It's a good jam. Okay, it's enough of that. It's enough of that. Anyway, hi everybody, what the heck is up? Evjamaranth, hello. All my lurkers, hello. I know if people are probably... setup was rather short today, so I'm probably some folks are still arriving. I hope that my Discord bot went off. I set up a new... I did some more like webhooks in Discord because... So the bot that is supposed to go off and tell people when streams happen, the one that I've been using for the last several months, it's apparently broken. It's apparently broken. It hasn't been like doing stream alerts like at all. And it stopped working around the time that there was that big Twitch hack that everyone was talking about. I'm not sure if it's related. That's just the timing that I noticed. The timing could be coincidental. But point is, it no longer works. And so I set up a thing in using Discord webhooks, which is the same thing that I use for like webcomic updates being announced in Discord, podcast episodes being announced in Discord. It's just an automator that I use, and it can also do Twitch, but I think it only checks like every... Yeah, I don't think it has anything to do with stream keys because I didn't try to go back and fix that. Like, there's a notice on the bot's, like, page when you go to fix it. It's like, hey, we know streams aren't working right now. We're working on fixing it. But yeah, apparently, Discord webhooks with Twitch only checks for new streams, like, every 15 minutes. So, at some point in the next 10 minutes or so, hopefully it'll go off. But it's not it means that it's not the most punctual. Let me check something. Yeah, so eventually, hopefully that will go off. But if not, whatever. Also, Don M. Theron, hello. So, who the heck is ready for more Ace Attorney? I am ready for more Ace Attorney because we got some talking to do to some people. And by some people, I mean our good buddy Kazuma, because there's been some stuff. Our poor buddy boy. You think you'll finish the cast tonight? Do you mean the case? Probably not, because we still have a whole nother day of court left. I don't think we're gonna finish this game before I leave for Anime Weekend Atlanta, you guys, but I'm gonna get as far as I can. Damn it, all the cases in this game are so long. I've been uploading stuff to YouTube. The first game was 10 parts on YouTube. The second game, we're already to part 20. This is like total. So like we've already passed 10 parts of the second game. And we're not even through case 4 yet. We still have all of case 5, whatever the hell that's gonna be. This game is long. I don't think we're gonna finish it before I go to Anime Weekend Atlanta, but I'm a try my damnedest. So let's not chitter chatter anymore. Let's fucking go. We have some talking to people to do today. Damn it. Hi, Kazuma! Exactly the angry motherfucker I wished to see. No arguments, Prosecutor Ahsoki. You'll continue with the trial exactly... Guy sus as fuck. You'll continue with the trial exactly as I instructed. Is that clear? Perfectly. It's Kazuma-sama. Defying Lord Strongheart by the sound of it. He never did know when to back down. We've been seen! Ah! Hide under the desk! On your way now, Ahsoki. My lord. God damn it, they have almost the same voice. Shit. Hi, Kazuma. What's up, bud? Kazuma. Did you get chewed out by your boss, bud? He left without saying a word. Damn it, come back! We need to stop! God damn you! Yes? What are you doing here? Oh, well, I was just hoping to ask you a few questions, if you wouldn't mind. I wanted Van Zeeks' trial concluded today. Well, too bad. But Prosecutor Ahsoki's unwelcome inquiries are going to make it take longer than necessary. Unwelcome inquiries? As a result, I'm losing even more precious time. Currently 2 hours, 55 minutes, and 41 seconds. 42, 43. Then we must resolve everything before 3 hours have passed, Mr. Naruhodo. In a miraculous not even 5 minutes? Anyway, I can't let the man's obvious bad mood put me off. I need information. Let's go. Talk to Captain Stopwatch. Sus AF. Does Prosecutor Ahsoki believe that Lord Van Zeeks is the Reaper? I wouldn't know. It was 10 years ago in that fateful closed trial that Lord Van Zeeks made a name for himself among the judiciary. But the next trial he fought, he lost. It meant the ringleader of a criminal organization was acquitted, thanks to all the jurors being under duress. But that's awful! The man's freedom was short-lived. He lasted just 3 days. Yes, let me see. He died in a rock slide at his place of work, I believe. Correct. That was the inauguration of the Reaper of the Bailey. And people believed Lord Van Zeeks was responsible? For a rock slide?! He was brought to trial himself, but it was shown to have been an accident. So he must have had a solid alibi then. Nevertheless, the mysterious deaths continued. In total, 16 persons perished in unusual circumstances, ostensibly at the hand of the Reaper. That's a long run of coincidences. Well, the Reaper's true identity may well be revealed by this trial. And the impact that revelation would have on British public cannot be understated. Is that why it's a closed trial? Precisely. Emil Castillo, Callisto, hello, welcome to stream. I can't talk. Fuck. This country hasn't seen a closed trial for 10 years. So the last one was the Professors, the trial of Genshin Ahsoki? Correct. Actually, we heard that originally you were going to prosecute that trial yourself, Lord Strongheart. Who the fuck told you that? Van Zeeks entreated me to relinquish the prosecution to him, that he might avenge his brother's death. And here we are, 10 years later. With the son of the man Van Zeeks had condemned now looking to avenge his father's death in the same way. They do say that what goes around comes around. However, it would seem that the new young prosecutor is harboring some ulterior motive as well. Kazuma is? I like my organization to run smoothly in the exact manner that I prescribe. As with the giant clock in here, I won't tolerate a single cog being out of step with the others. Okay. Fucking... bitch. I don't know! There's a word and all words escape me in this moment. Just be fucking cogs in the machine, why don't you, goddammit? Ah, so that's what all these gears are about in here. It's a metaphor. If the young man it's not only a metaphor, it's probably an OSHA violation. Someone's gonna get caught on one of those gears one day and fucking die. Just saying. If the young man refuses to mesh with the other parts of my great machine, I will be forced to take steps. Dancy steps! What do you mean? I'm gonna stick him in the gears. That'll teach him a lesson. Not something which you need to concern yourself with. In any case, all your questions will be answered tomorrow. But I would like them answered today. That's why I'm here. And he's gonna leave. Tick-tock, bitch. Now I shall have to ask you to excuse me. As of this moment, I've been delayed from attending my next meeting by precisely 3 hours. Oh my, that is a long time. What the fuck, guy? Don't you have all these watches? Keep you on track with your shit? And I told you entirely responsible. Even though we were miraculously managed to fit everything in not even 5 minutes. I wonder if you might agree to us, talking with Prosecutor Ahsoki. Where are you keeping him? And discussions between the defense and the prosecution outside of the courtroom are generally frowned upon. However, I will make an exception in this case. Now go. You can find him in his office. He's got an office? He's got his own office? I'm so proud of him. Oh, thank you. I gotta go talk to my fucking boyfriend. Let's go see him at once, Mr. Naruhodo. Yes, let's fucking go. We need to talk to Kazuma so badly. We should have talked to him a week ago! Why didn't we? Kazuma's my best friend in the world, but I'm really not at all sure I know how to talk to him at the moment. Because he's been so weird. Kazuma. Oh yeah, I guess it's Von Zoinks' office. That would make sense. I was, like, wondering earlier, where has Kazuma been staying? Like, where does he live? Does he just live here? Does he just, like, roll out a little futon and just sleep on the floor in this office? That can't be healthy. He has to be living somewhere. The fucking miniatures! The miniatures! God! So, this is the office of Prosecutor Ahsoki now, is it? Kazuma-sama is doing so well for himself. Even though he's always forced to kneel on the floor Japanese style in that dark corner. It's his habit to sit Seiza style whenever he's working. Well, it looks like our journey here was wasted. The prosecutor appears to be out. Perhaps we should discuss things with another prosecutor we know first. Ow! Fine, I'll go talk to Van Zoinks. That would make sense, I guess. Kazuma! What's up, Vampworth? What's up, buddy? Zetaflare Production, hi! What's up? Welcome to stream. Lord Van Zeeks is reading, look. He doesn't seem like he wants visitors, does he? He never does, but we're here anyway. But he must have noticed that we're here, surely. He's ignoring us. Oi! Vampworth! Notice me, senpai! Oh, there he is. What do you Nipponese want? That's no way to greet the lawyer who's trying his hardest to prove your innocence, is it? Perhaps not. I apologize. So, what can I do for you, Mr. Naruhodo? Yeah, use my name. Lord Van Zeeks, speaking earnestly. Oh, the fog will lift over London for the first time in months tomorrow. This does feel very, very strange. But good. Yeah, you like me, admit it! Admit it! I must say I was impressed. Oh, well, thank you. Not by you, by your fellow Nipponese, your prosecutor friend. Oh hey, be impressed by me too. I'm the reason you're not... Well, I mean, I guess you're technically still in jail, but you haven't been accused yet. Or you haven't been sentenced yet. You're welcome. Oh, I see. Yes. It's sardonic, don't you think? For a man such as me so loathing of the Nipponese to be entirely at the mercy of the two of you. I suppose it's retribution for having played the part in the Reaper all these years. Played the part? Oh, buddy boy, we've got to have a conversation with you. You once told me that you gladly allowed people to believe you were the Reaper, because it helped reduce the amount of serious crime that took place in London. If keeping quiet and playing the part benefits the cause, a cause I myself am committed to pursuing, then why would I choose to say anything? But the henchman of a criminal killed by the Reaper attacked you only the other day. And that was just the most recent of many attempts on your life, wasn't it? Someone is clearly profiting from your silence about all this. Someone's using you. Believe me, ever since the Reaper first appeared, I've been doing my utmost to expose him. Or rather, expose the organization. It's a whole organization? It's inconceivable that all these accidents were orchestrated by one man. No, the Reaper always appears to have a very accurate information about the accused in each case. Do you guys think that Strongheart is the Reaper? Listen, he's shady as shit. He's got all the intel. And he's got people who will apparently just do whatever the fuck he says. And he has he benefits from the lack of crime that happens when, like, the Reaper rumors are going around. That has to be it, right? That would make a lot of sense. Motherfucker, I bet it's him now. I'm sticking with that. I'm sticking with that theory unless it's proven wrong. Which can only mean that somebody at Scotland Yard is involved. Someone at... You can't mean... It's taken me many years, but I've finally identified the central figure in this Reaper organization. Tobias Gregson. What? No. No! Gregson, the Reaper? So, the reason you were investigating Inspector... Until I'm proven wrong, I'm sticking with my guns that I said last time. I think that Gregson was investigating the Reaper, trying to clear Van Zeeks' name, and that Captain Stopwatch is actually the Reaper. That's what I'm sticking with that theory until it's proven otherwise. I'm sticking with my guns on this. That's still what I feel. Because, like, freaking Van Zeeks doesn't know. So, the reason you were investigating Inspector Gregson is because you intended to expose him as the Reaper? As I said, the Reaper of the Bailey is no single person. It is a highly secret organization with close ties to Scotland Yard. But there's no doubt that Gregson was a key member of that organization. I don't believe it. Are you saying that Gregson? He was behind all those awful criminals meeting that... Gregson didn't do the dirty work himself. Oh. He was the tactician. His job was to covertly investigate the marks and plot their assassinations. In order to do that without arousing suspicion, he regularly needed a firm alibi. Which is where Mr. Vigil came in, posing as the inspector. Vigil knows nothing of the Reaper, but the room he rents on Fresno Street was almost certainly the headquarters of the operation. Gregson would have met the assassin there for briefings. So we don't actually know who carried out the killings then. Actually, I do have a name. Oh? You what? Well, if you name the man, you have the true identity of the Reaper already then. Or, if I can name the woman, Oh. She is a young woman by the name of Asa Shin. Okay. Assassin. 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 Oy. Wait. What? Shin? Yeah. Goose Lady. Miss Asa Shin. The true name of a terrifying killer I know only too well. She came to Japan posing as a visiting student and murdered Dr. John H. Wilson. Then, just when it seemed that diplomatic protection would help her escape Japan and conviction, the mysterious woman was herself murdered in a small summer beach hut. And that woman was actually the Reaper of the Bailey? Mr. Naruhodo, this perhaps isn't the place to discuss... No, of course not. We can't mention it here, because Iris is right there! The fact that she killed Dr. John H. Wilson. Because Iris doesn't know, and it's very likely that the man was her father. Asa Shin. I should let father know at once. Yes, I agree. Whew, boy. Kazuma, isn't it? Kazuma Ahsoki. You say he's a friend of yours. My best friend. He's the whole reason I got to come to Britain. It was all on his merits. I have nothing but respect for him. Yes, I understand that only the very best students are selected for such opportunities. And I had a fine demonstration of how sharp he is in the proceedings earlier today. He missed nothing. In fact, his flawless performance very much reminded me of his father. Genshin Asogi, the professor. It's true that the aristocracy at the time was the root of numerous grave societal problems. They were abusing their power, playing with the common man as pawns in politics, in economics, in war. In many ways, Asogi was carving out the canker from society that we British couldn't deal with ourselves. Ah, I see. But that's precisely why it makes no sense. Clint Van Zeeks was a noble and upstanding man. He wasn't corrupt. Why did that damned Nipponese have to go and take my brother's life? In spite of having once saved mine. He saved your life? How did that happen? More backstory. It was 10 years ago, on a foggy night. What was to be the professor's final strike had sent a wave of panic through the capital. So Clint Van Zeeks has already been killed at this point, then. Genshin and I were walking down some back streets at a late hour. Of course, at that point, I had no idea of the true nature of the man at my side. All of a sudden... Don't make a peep! You're coming with us! Mug? Oh, look at little baby Van Zeeks, he's so little! We were surrounded. All of our assailants were armed with pistols, their faces obscured by scarves. Clint was not only from noble heritage, he was a brilliant prosecutor as well. The scum of London hated the sight of him, and they had no sympathy for his younger brother either. I'd been targeted several times before already. Yeah, it's Van Zeeks alright, we got him! I could hear them murmuring amongst themselves. I knew they were after me. But just when I thought my time had come. If I let them kill you, Clint would never forgive me. It was Asogi's voice, just a whisper in my ear. After that, I don't remember exactly what happened. But the next thing I knew, there was silence all around. Genshin lay on the cobbled street. Blood was seeping from his left hand. He'd shielded me. Damn. 2 days later, they arrested him. On suspicion of being London's most notorious mass murderer ever. The Professor. How awful for you. All at once, I lost the brother I revered and the foreign friend I held in such high regard. I'm so sorry, Lord Van Zeeks. That's the end of my miserable tale. I never thought I'd recount it to anyone. Well, thank you for confiding in me. The Professor, the Reaper, and Inspector Gregson. I wonder just how intimately related they all are. I still can't quite believe that Gregson was essentially the Reaper. Giving assassination orders to Giselle Brett? Mr. Mr. Naruhodo, let's go and inform my father. I'm sure our government will want to hear about this new information. Oh, that means I get to meet your daddy, Susie. Hooray! Oh, he better not spill the beans. Uh-oh. Yes, all right. Let's head back to the Great Waterloo Hotel then. Okay, we're done with you, right? Okay, bye, buddy, bye! Bye! Yeah, I have a feeling this might be where that conversation happens about Iris's dad being dead, because, oh, she's gonna introduce herself, and he's gonna be like, Wilson, I knew a guy named Wilson, and he's dead now, and she's gonna be like, no! Oh, this is gonna go so bad. I thought it yesterday, and I think it again today. This place is so princely. It's a wild guess, but I have a feeling you'll think the same tomorrow, too. My tea has a finer fragrance than whatever they're serving in the tea room there, though, wouldn't you say? Ah, look who we have here. This is an unexpected pleasure. What's up, bowler hat dad? Father! Oh, is this your daddy, Susie? How lovely! What a charming young lady, and you are? Ah, really? So you're the author of The Adventures of Sherlock Sholmes, are you? That's me, Iris Wilson, at your service, sir. Susie's been such a wonderful friend to me over the last year, you know. Well, Miss Wilson, I must say I read your work regularly and with much interest. Iris actually lives with Mr. Sholmes, you know, Father. Is that so? Well, perhaps that goes some way in explaining that bright look in your eyes. You wouldn't be smiling so airily if you knew just how bright she is, believe me. Now then, young Naruhodo, it was a pleasure seeing you in action earlier. As an invitee of the symposium, I was allowed to observe from the gallery, after I twisted some arms. And I must say it was a truly exemplary performance. Oh, well, thank you very much. Although I'm fairly sure you omitted by Kazuma on the end there. No, please don't misunderstand. It was you who impressed me. Really? You didn't miss a step against Ahsoki, and we all know how capable he is. Really, to have matured into such a fine defense lawyer in less than a year is quite extraordinary. It's very kind of you to say so, and really nice to hear. Aw, buddy. What I saw in court today really confirmed what I'd been hoping for. The favor I mentioned yesterday, Naruhodo. I trust you haven't forgotten? Oh, no, you did mention something, didn't you? But first, we have something to report, Father. Of course. Shall we take tea while we discuss matters further? I wonder where Judge Jikoku has got to. We got stuff to talk about with Bowler Hat Dad. Father, do you know about the so-called Reaper of the Bailey? I've heard rumors. Some members of the judiciary explained it all to me yesterday. Of course, when I was a visiting student here in London, the Reaper was yet to emerge. He was just a baby. A little baby boy with a cute face. Right, he didn't appear until after the case when the visiting students had already returned home. Lord Van Zeeks, who was in the dock today. That was Barrack, the younger brother of Clint Van Zeeks, I believe. That's right, and he's known throughout London as the Reaper, as you've heard. But the truth is, it wasn't him behind all of those mysterious deaths, it was somebody else. I see. So what you're saying is there's been a professional killer at work here. Exactly. Someone by the name of Asa Shin, in fact. I beg your pardon? Did you say Asa Shin? You mean the Giselle Brett woman who was responsible for killing my great friend? Uh-oh. Oh, no, a friend of yours was killed. Professor Mikotoba, I think perhaps we shouldn't discuss this right now. Because the friend of the professor is talking about is Dr. John H. Wilson. And that's not something we want Iris to find out about. Not like this, anyway. We are just fucking toeing the line with this conversation.
I've just remembered something. Biscuits. This hotel has the most delicious looking biscuits.
That was rather out of the blue. She's doing this deliberately.
I think I'll go and see if I can purchase some. I wonder, would you like to come too, Iris? Oh, yes! You just tried to leave me behind.
So that young girl. It's called Iris Wilson, is she? Yes, that's right. And she's the author of all those adventure stories starring the great Detective Sholmes. But the names of the accredited author isn't Iris, is it? It's Dr. John H. Wilson. Yes, I know. That's the name of her father, you see. Her father? Dr. John H. Wilson. I was deeply indebted to the man for all the kindness he showed me during my time in London. That's why I was keen to reciprocate and invite him to the Imperial University 4 years ago. But he was murdered last year by Giselle Brett. Why? Why would the Hand of the Reaper stretch all the way to Japan? Iris knows nothing about that case, but it seems very likely that the victim, Dr. Wilson, was her father. Well, I can't say that we ever spoke about his family, so I don't know if he had a daughter or not. But I think I can say with some certainty that he was never the great detective's partner. So, it could have been another Dr. Wilson, you think? Well, John and Wilson are both common names after all. Still, it's probably best not to mention this to the young lady until we can be sure. If there's another fucking John Wilson somewhere, what? That's what we thought, yes.
We're back with cinnamon biscuits.
Oh, they smell delicious, Iris.
I think cinnamon would go very well with the tea they serve here. Don't you, Susie? Yes, I'm sure you're right, Iris.
So maybe her daddy's not dead. That would be good. That would be wonderful if her dad was still alive. I haven't seen Judge Shikoku for a while, have you? Guilty! Ha 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 ha! But that guilty is still ringing in my ears. No, now you mentioned it, I haven't seen him since this morning either. I suppose since the symposium's opening was postponed, he'll have gone to explore at the Great Exhibition.
That reminds me of something you mentioned yesterday. About Judge Shikoku having once been in the dock himself?
Ah, yes. He was all tied up with that accursed trial. The closed trial of Kazuma's father. Seishiro was trying to mitigate Genshin's guilt, so he took to the stand to testify. But he got a little carried away and, actually managed to break the witness's stand. Oh, jeez.
Oh, my.
He also said some contemptuous words about the British Empire, for which he was charged. Oh, dear. Although it's worryingly easy to imagine him doing that. Well, it was all alright in the end. He was acquitted and we returned home to Japan together.
Thank goodness.
Ah, yes. Talking of Seishiro. I have a copy of the photograph we all took together here yesterday. Please. Look at my nervous little boy.
Oh, what a lovely picture.
It certainly seems to shout, "We've arrived in Britain!" Oh, why are we adding that to the court record? Now I'm nervous. What is that gonna be used for? None of us had any idea what was coming when we took that, did we?
No. No, that's so true.
So, you mentioned a favor that you'd like to ask me. Well, this fateful trial that you're fighting, one way or another it will be over before long. And when it is, I'd like you to accompany back to Japan. You want me to do...
What? Father? What's the meaning of this?
Now, Susato, you should understand.
You've seen how our courts work firsthand. Japan's judicial system is in its infancy, especially when it comes to defense. Oh, you mean... The Supreme Court of Judicature is in desperate need of a good defense lawyer. As soon as possible. Really quite urgently, in fact. But I've not even been in London a year yet. I've read all of Susato's reports. I'm well aware of your extraordinary talents. And having seen you in action with my own eyes earlier today, there's no question. You, Naruhodo, are precisely the man our country needs. Do you mean that, or are you just saying that to get me out of the country like you did shit with Susato earlier? So, you'd be leaving then, Bruno? But then, what am I supposed to do, Father? You came here to serve as Ahsoki's judicial assistant. Oh, yes, she's supposed to be Kazuma's assistant. Our government is still in the process of deciding how best to deal with his situation, though. You've always chosen your own path, Susato, and I trust your judgment. In this matter also. Father? Please, the pair of you, don't look so downcast. Merely a suggestion, you understand. A hope, if I'm honest, but I won't force you. All I ask is that you consider it, and come to a decision by the time this trial concludes. Yes, all right. You won't leave, will you, Bruno? Oh, baby. The thought hadn't even crossed my mind. Up until now, I've just been trying to do what I believe to be Kazuma's will. But it turns out that he's still alive, so... where does that leave me? Good fucking question. Well, if you'll excuse me now. I need to telegram government ministers and the Japanese police with this information about Asa Shin. Of course, Father. Thank you. I look forward to next month's installment, Miss Wilson. Oh, good! And please do come to Bacon Street sometime, won't you? We'd love to entertain you. I would be delighted. The best of luck for tomorrow, Naruhodo. And give my suggestion your full consideration, won't you? Yes, I will. Going back home? Home second, thank you for the follow. Welcome to the stream squad. You know, Kazuma-sama has always meant a great deal to my father. I'm sure he'd love the chance to meet with him and talk to him about all of this. Yes, no doubt. Asa Shin. Of course, it's so obvious. Who is this? Hi, Sholmes! Where'd you come from, bud? How could I have neglected to consider the possibility before now? Yeah, Mr. Sholmes? Hallie! Where have you been? Why, I joined you all for tea, of course. What an extraordinary question. I didn't even notice you at all. No matter, no matter. Anyway, to more pressing concerns. Mr. Naruhodo. Oh, yes? Found you on accident a while ago, but lost you. You inspired me into my current art style. Oh, well, thank you. I'm glad. Welcome back. I must dispatch a telegram to your country at once. It's a matter of much urgency. To Japan, you mean? Tell me, to whom can I entrust the task? Quickly now, who? Well... my father has just now left to send a telegram to the Imperial Police Bureau of Japan himself. I see. Well, you looked reliable enough for a bearded fellow. I don't think what father sports could be considered a beard, Mr. Sholmes. There's not a moment to lose. Kindly ask your trusty unshaven father to see this sent. I will, but what is it? No questions at this time, if you please, Miss Susato. All we can do is pray. But for once, my deduction is awry. Doesn't that imply that your deductions are normally correct, Mr. Sholmes?
Which isn't exactly... Now then! Oh, shit. You may be surprised to learn that I am a very busy man. I certainly have no time to hide beneath settees and eavesdrop on other people's conversations. So that's what joining us for tea meant? Hiding under the fucking table? I'll leave the sending of this in your hands then, my dear fellows. Vamoose! Wait a minute, Mr. Sholmes!
He just sort of ran off, didn't he? At quite a pace.
And left the unpaid bill for his tea behind, too.
I must catch up with Father at the telegraph office at once.
At once, there.
And I'll run and call us a cab straight away.
And there was me thinking everyone would be clamoring to pay Mr. Sholmes' bill. Yes, I want to look at that note. Yes, let me see it. Oh, no, they took it with them, damn it. Look at Norvis baby Ryunosuke, look at him. Little precious boy! And Susado's so fucking cute. Look at these gentlemen. He's a good boy. Doing his Bowie bust. Okay, can we go talk to Kazuma now? Please! Is he here? Where? There he... Kazuma! Oi! Been looking for you! Kazuma. What's up, buddy boy? I thought it wouldn't be long before you paid me a visit, Ryunosuke. I was right about what I said, wasn't I? Sorry? I bet you have all the makings of a great defense lawyer. Well, I always believed that you'd fulfill your dream of advocating in the British courts. I just never imagined for 1 second that it would be as a prosecutor.
Seeing you stand in a foreign courtroom so gallantly realizing your dream, Kazuma-sama, I'm truly happy for you.
And I'm truly thankful for you, Judicial Assistant Mikotoba. Ryunosuke, I always thought it would be fun for you and I to shake up the British legal system a little together. This isn't quite how I envisaged it, but I suppose it's just another twist of fate. I've learned a lot of things during my time in London. About how Susato-san's father was himself a visiting student here once, along with Judge Jikoku. And about what happened with your father. Then you'll have no difficulty understanding why I had no choice. Why I had to find a way to get to Britain as a visiting student myself. I want to hear it from you, Kazuma. As you wish, Ryunosuke Naruhodo. First and last name, why are you being so serious, bud? It's getting on for a year now, since what happened on the SS Burya. The SS Burya gaze. We were heading across the oceans from Japan to Great Britain, when a bizarre series of coincidences led to those tragic events. I thought I had lost my best friend forever. I must have been unconscious for a long time. When I awoke, I was lying on a bed. It was a narrow little room. There was a posy of flowers by the pillow. It took me a little while to realize I was in the cabin of a ship. I slipped out of the room and headed up onto the deck. Were you already suffering from amnesia at that point? Yes, I didn't know what had happened or where I was. There was just this voice in my head. You have something you have to do, something no one else can know about. Go to Great Britain. Your task awaits you there. It was a calling I couldn't ignore. It compelled me relentlessly. Out on deck, I saw that I was on a huge steamship and we were docked in a large port.
It must have been Hong Kong.
Yes, it must have been. Presumably just before they were due to carry your body off the ship. I had no idea of the situation, but I did have the feeling that this was in some way my last chance.
So I concealed myself among the disembarking passengers and went ashore. Then I disappeared into the crowded streets of that foreign port city, so I could plan my onward journey to Great Britain. Just under a year ago, with all my past memories lost to me, I was left behind in Hong Kong. Everything was foreign to me. The sights, the sounds, the smells. My head reeled. I was truly at a loss. I realized now I'd escaped as a dead man, with nothing but the clothes on my back. No money, of course.
Oh, how terrifying for you.
Luckily, though, I had 2 feathers in my cap. One being your knowledge of English, I suppose? That's right, and on the back of that, I was able to pick up some work as a deckhand on a cargo ship. Eventually, after calling at countless ports, I finally arrived at Dover. That must have been some 3 months ago now. Your formidable tenacity of purpose showing itself again. I mean, the man had lost his memory and had literally nothing to his name, but he still managed to make his way to London on the opposite side of the world. Of course, I had no idea why I've moved heaven and earth to get here at that point. So, how did you end up becoming Lord Van Zeeks' apprentice, then? That can only be called an extraordinary stroke of luck, really. You see, I was stopped at the border because I had no papers. They took me straight to Scotland Yard. By sheer coincidence, Lord Strongheart was there to attend a meeting. That's when the second feather in my cap came into play.
Would that have been your knowledge of the law?
Yes, exactly. Lord Strongheart was curious about an Easterner with intimate knowledge of British law. He took me back with him to the Supreme Court and assigned me to the prosecutor's office. And then 9 days ago, you finally got your memory back after the trial involving Drebber. Yes, I did. That mask is so scary. Ever since I first met you at Yume, you talked about your dream. Mark my words, Ryunosuke. I'll be chosen as a visiting student and make my way to Great Britain someday. Did you know the entire time about what happened to your father here? 16 years ago.
Oh, baby buddy boy, look at me so little. Oh!
When my father left on that exciting trip to Great Britain, I was just a boy. We took a photograph together the day before his departure. It's my last memory of him. But what I remember most about my father is his unswerving sense of justice. And his tiny, tiny mustache. 6 years after he left, a gentleman called at our family home. He told me that Genshin, my father, had been taken ill in England and passed away. It was Professor Mikotoba, your father, Suzato-san.
Oh my.
Ever since then, the prosecutor was very good to me. Or the professor, ha! He even helped to fund my university education at Yume. I'll be forever in his debt. But nevertheless, I just couldn't bring myself to believe what he told me.
Oh.
Then one day, a letter arrived at our house from Britain. There was no indication of the sender, so I opened it assuming it was from an old acquaintance of my father. What I read in that letter changed my entire life. What did it say? It said that my father had been a mass murderer, and the writer cursed the Ahsoki name.
Oh no!
As a result of that letter, I found out what he had been hidden from me all these years. Presumably, the letter was sent from a relative of one of the victims. If whoever it was had been a member of the judiciary, he could have been present at the closed trial. Like Van Zeeks? Did he write an emo revenge letter to Kazuma and start this whole thing? Oh boy. The letter revealed that my father had been sentenced to death, executed for being a killer. I'm so sorry that you had to find out that way. I imagine the British government did its very best to silence whoever sent that letter. Someone who knew the truth and couldn't bear the resentment was always going to be a problem. But still, it could have been written by anyone. Why would you believe such a thing?
There was a newspaper cutting included with the letter. It was the first I'd ever heard of the professor and his terrible killing spree.
Well, what did my father have to say about the letter?
I couldn't bring myself to show it to him. What? Why not? Because he deliberately concealed the truth from me by telling me that my father was taken by a fatal illness. That couldn't have been easy for him, and he'd done it out of consideration for my feelings. So instead, I showed the letter to Judge Jikoku. To the other visiting student. He faltered for the briefest of moments, but then he just laughed the letter off. But in that moment, I saw it on his face. He was undeniably shocked, shaken momentarily before recovering his poise. A year later, my bereaved mother succumbed to the strain of grief, and she too passed away. That's when I made up my mind that one day, without fail, I would cross the seas to Britain and seek the truth for myself. The truth about my father, Genshin Ahsoki. And I wouldn't let anyone stand in my way.
Kazuma-sama.
Jeez, bud. What we learned today in court turned many things completely on their head. It was an impressive piece of lawyering, Ryunosuke Naruhodo.
Lord Van Zeeks isn't the Reaper, you know.
I almost don't want to believe it myself, but it turns out that Inspector Gregson himself, the victim, was... It's clear that the Inspector was behind the Reaper's activity all along. What? You mean you knew? The real question is who's been giving orders to the Inspector. Yes, Barrick Von Zeeks is the real Reaper. And I know that 10 years ago, it was him who decided my father must be a mass murderer and sent him to his grave.
No! He was merely seeing that justice was done as the law dictates. He's not to blame.
Ultimately, it's people who condemn people. The law is just a tool they use to do it. And when a man condemns another, he must take responsibility for his actions. Of course he must. But I know for certain that my father would never have taken another man's life. Kazuma. On the contrary, my father's life was taken by the Reaper. Then why did you cut your dad's statue in half, bud? If you really think your dad is innocent, then why did you do the big choppy? Huh? Deal with that. Have anything I could show him? This, maybe? Kazuma, what do you make of this? Okay, yeah, probably nothing. Boy. I'm gonna look at your miniatures. Don't mind me. What the? It's a scale model of the crime scene. Van Zeeks told me how to make them. He's very passionate about this sort of thing. Oh, yes, I realize that. Does the prosecution office make a model of the scene for every single case? Apparently so. Sometimes it helps to visualize things better and notice things you hadn't spotted before. Actually, the miniature notice board is my work. Be honest, you enjoyed making that. He did! He did enjoy making that! Fuck it, you know, I'm just gonna look at other stuff while I'm in here. Do you know who the man in the portrait is? Why would I? What? But you're Lord Van Zeeks' apprentice. Yes, apprentice, not friend. During the time I was suffering from amnesia, I didn't even notice the picture. Oh, really? I mean, it's not the smallest picture. I wouldn't have the first idea what the man decorates his office with. Anything else I can look at in here? It's fucking bats. I love Halloween. Wah!
disturb the bats, did you? Fitting companions of Lord Van Zeeks, wouldn't you say? Actually, I've seen things flying in Lord Strongheart's office too. Doves, I think. Perhaps you have to like birds to attain rank in the judiciary here. Although bats aren't birds, of course.
What is this conversation?
How about a sparrow for you? What's that supposed to mean? Oh, nothing. Sorry. Just thinking out loud.
I know how to say sparrow in Japanese. It's Suzume. And I learned that because, like, the first week when I was working in Japan, a bird got inside the school. And I chased it down. So I guess, like, during the summer around the school, like, there's no air conditioning in the main building of the school, and so they just leave a lot of the windows open, and so, like, a little sparrow got inside the school, and it was, like, banging against one of the closed windows trying to get out. And I was like, oh no, bird in the school, and there was nobody else around. I was just, like, taking a walk. Everybody else was, like, in the office or doing something else, or even on vacation. It was in the middle of summer. And I was just running around, and I'm like, bird in the school. And at some point, it hit itself against the window really hard, and I think it gave itself just, like, a little concussion, a little bird concussion, because it just kind of sat there for a while. So it just, like, fell on the ground, and it was just kind of, like, sitting there, angry bird style. I was like, okay, don't move. And so I went and I got a paper towel, and I scooped it up, and I took it outside. But on my way outside with the bird in my hands, one of the janitors, who did not speak any English, saw me, and he tried to say hello, and I'm just super frazzled, and I have a bird in my hands, and he was just like, oh, Suzume. And I'm like, bird! In the school! So he helped me, like, find a place to put it outside. It eventually flew off, but, like, one of the English teachers came outside. I'm not sure if she was looking for me, or if she just came outside and she's like, oh, hello, Starlo, what is that? And I'm like, Suzume, apparently. We named it Captain Jack Sparrow, and then eventually it flew away. But that happened, like, the first week I was working in Japan. A bird in the school. Anyway, that's enough of my anecdotes. I just want to investigate everything else in here to see what Kazuma has to say. Casks floor to ceiling, just like the last time we were here. Hallowed barrels, I suppose. They're arranged according to vintage, flavor, and region. Every week, they're all taken out and put back in order. What? Every week? Lord Van Zeeks can't seem to settle on the perfect way of arranging them, you see. Vintage, flavor, and region don't neatly coincide. That's the trouble. Gosh, being his apprentice must be a real challenge. Actually, no. Oh? He considers the task too important to entrust to anybody else, so he does it entirely on his own. So he's a barrel of laughs here and in court, then. A barrel of laughs. Boy. Actually, hold on. If I had the desktop audio turned off. A barrel of laughs, you say? There we go. Okay, anything else I can poke at in here? There's Lord Van Zeeks' incredibly stylish desk. It's not my style, though. No, I noticed you've been working at the little table on the floor, kneeling down Seiza style. I thought it was some kind of punishment set up by Lord Van Zeeks when I first saw it. I find it the most comfortable way to work. I can't do it. After a couple of minutes of sitting with my legs folded under me, they start to go tingly. Don't exaggerate, Ryunosuke. We both know you can't even manage a minute. Oof. I sit on my feet, on my legs like that all the time, though. It's comfy. I'm kind of sort of doing it right now, but I've got my legs, like, slightly off to the side. If that makes sense. Lord Van Zeeks' fine collection of hallowed chalices and bottles all neatly lined up.
Yes, he's extremely particular about all that. He has a strict regime for everything, from the storage of the cast to the bottling of their contents.
Hiromitsu47, thank you for the follow. Welcome to the Stream Squad.
Another star in the Halo Jealous. Gosh, you must be having a really tough time of it being his apprentice. Actually, no. Oh? He's so particular about it all, he refuses to let anybody else touch any of it. So it's been quite easy for me, in fact. Talk about weird. Anything else I can poke in here? I just want to hang out with Kazuma some more. He's emotional. Bleh. Alright, I guess we're done here. Okay, bye Kazuma, I'll be back later, my boyfriend.
This is the ward where Mr. Vigil was brought, apparently.
To be frank, I'm a little worried about seeing him again. There he is! What's up, you sad sack?
Ah, the lawyer. Hello again. Are you feeling better now, Mr. Vigil? Yes, thank you. Somewhat better.
I'm so sorry to have caused you to... I mean, it was because of me. If I hadn't exposed your secret and forced you to remember things you'd so obviously tried to forget... Rinosuke, that was definitely Kazuma's fault. You only had a little bit to do with that. He was the one who pushed it.
The prosecutor was here until a few moments ago, too.
You just missed him. Oh! Kazuma beat us to it.
He said much the same as you. He was very apologetic. But the truth is, I brought all of this upon myself.
Please, don't think like that.
Keeping it from Evie, my wife, all these years, I've carried such a sense of guilt. But that's not the worst of it. Over time, I obviously came to deceive myself as well. You mean about your dismissal? Looking back now, I'm beginning to think that perhaps Inspector Gregson didn't stumble across me by accident at all. I mean, he compensated me so generously for acting as his stand-in. He was clearly concerned for my well-being and doing what he could to help.
So perhaps Gregson knew exactly what had become of Mr. Vigil all along, then.
I'm sure this is just desserts for 10 years of lies and deception, but... It wasn't me that helped the professor escape 10 years ago. It wasn't me. I swear it. I swear it's true. Oh, Mr. Vigil.
I'm sure you'd rather not dredge up even more from your past at this time, but... if possible, could you tell us exactly what really happened?
I want to. I need to get all this off my chest. I just want someone to tell me what I should have done.
Alright.
Inspector Gregson was obviously engaged in a special operation of some sort. He was investigating something that even Scotland Yard couldn't know about.
Details of the Reaper's marks, yes.
It was when he had to carry out those investigations that I would take his identification and impersonate him.
You'd pretend to be the inspector and carry out investigations on his behalf?
Oh, no, never! A common street peddler couldn't possibly carry out a proper police investigation. All I would do was go to the specified location and make a little hoo-ha. You know, a little hoo-ha. One of those things. Just something to leave an impression, so everyone there would think a detective called Gregson was here. So, that's what you were doing on the day prior to the incident? Yes, he asked me to make an appearance at the park on Lime Street for the Red-Headed League event. So as usual, I flashed the inspector's identification around and was very vocal about my presence. But then you were taken prisoner by those red-headed fraudsters. Yes.
So, you would always make a point of showing Gregson's identification and generally being loud?
That's what the inspector asked me to do, yes.
Well, that's one way of becoming a legendary detective, I suppose. Not a good one, though.
And as you know, I suffered this bruising around my neck at their hands. But the following day, they kept their word and released me.
Without returning the inspector's identification to you, however.
We had arranged to meet in the Fresno Street room at 5 that day so I could report back to the inspector. But at the agreed time, that's when I heard the gunshot. It was at midnight on 17th June 10 years ago. That was the time scheduled for the execution.
But the professor's execution never actually took place, did it?
Or rather, the execution itself must have been used to affect the plan of escape. I hardly dare to imagine what a chilling plan it was.
Barclay was renowned for being the highest security prison in the country. Everything that went in or out of the place was searched multiple times. But there was one notable exception. Or rather, one notable loophole. Something that was never questioned.
I have a feeling I know what that loophole was now. The coffins into which the bodies of the executed convicts were placed, correct?
Yes. Once the coroner had confirmed the death of a condemned convict, the body was taken in its coffin for immediate burial in Lowgate Cemetery just behind the prison. The chief warder first had to sign the necessary papers. And after that, no member of staff was permitted to touch the coffin containing the body again. When the executions took place, only the executioner and the coroner were permitted inside the chamber. I would wait in the adjacent room for word that the condemned convict was dead. On that occasion, once I had the confirmation, I went into the mortuary to find a lone coffin as usual. The procedure was that I would sign the paperwork having checked the coffin, then nail it shut. But for some reason that day, the coffin was already nailed shut.
No!
I didn't think anything of it at the time. I assumed that my deputy must have checked the coffin and nailed it shut before I arrived.
So, you mean the coffin contained...
Yes, I can only imagine that Ahsoki, having escaped his execution somehow, was alive inside the coffin. The coffin was then taken out through the main gates and deposited in Lowgate Cemetery.
Presumably there wouldn't have been enough air inside to breathe for long.
So in the early hours following the burial, somebody dug out the coffin again and set Genshin free.
But in the end, he was fatally shot in the graveyard anyway. What on earth really happened in Lowgate Cemetery that night, I wonder?
I'm afraid I really don't know. All I can say with certainty are two things. Ahsoki couldn't possibly have escaped that way without help from somebody working in the prison. And that somebody was not me.
Well, I mean, we already know the fucking coroner was in on it. Obviously, you knew the man then? The professor, I mean. Genshin Ahsoki.
Yes, I remember him well, in fact. Would you mind telling us what you know? Well, having been condemned to death as he was, any contact I had with the man was short, obviously. After that trial, which was carried out behind closed doors, attended only by elite members of the judiciary, they called for his execution to be carried out at the earliest possible opportunity. And the outcome of the trial was set from the beginning, wasn't it?
It was a time of delicate diplomacy when Britain and Japan were in the process of signing an important treaty. That meant that this potentially destabilizing case had to be dealt with swiftly and discreetly.
The man had less than a week in total.
As I was the chief warder, I oversaw his short stay in the cells until his final hour. I remember being struck deeply by his noble character and incredible resilience.
What do you mean exactly?
He was a killer of many men, but he was always quiet and polite. He was a gentleman and a man of intellect. In fact, I couldn't bring myself to believe what he'd done, so I asked him one day. Those 5 members of the aristocracy whose lives were taken, were you really responsible?
I'm guilty of the unfortunate crime of ending another human's life, yes.
The following day, the closed trial took place, and the verdict was no surprise. Guilty. That night, when he was brought back into his cell, I saw something. Something unusual.
Something unusual? What?
The last will and testament of Genshin Ahsoki.
Whoa?
As I said, it was on the night following his trial after he'd been found guilty. I was doing the rounds of the cells, and when I looked into Ahsoki's, I noticed that he seemed to have a sheet of paper in his hand.
Ah, his last will and testament then, presumably.
As soon as he noticed me, he hurriedly shoved it behind his back. But why do you find that so unusual? Isn't it normal for a man to pen a will when he knows his death is nigh? Yes, that's true, but there were special conditions to Ahsoki's incarceration, you see.
What sort of conditions?
Well, even though he was held in a cell designed for condemned inmates, he was allowed to keep his personal effects with him, with one exception.
Really? He was allowed his things? That is unusual, certainly.
Of course, he'd been convicted of killing 5 members of the aristocracy, but at the same time, he was a guest in our country from the Empire of Japan. The powers that be were determined that his final days shouldn't be needlessly uncomfortable. And what was the exception you mentioned to the personal effects he was allowed? That's the point. He wasn't permitted to have writing materials. Specifically, no pens or paper. So, he was prevented from leaving any written record of what had happened to him? Yes, that was the long and short of it. I've no idea where he obtained that paper. Any writing materials would have been confiscated from him upon his incarceration. As I said...
Sorry, I'm just tired today, I don't know why. Doing this guy's whispery voice is putting me to sleep.
As I said, he hid the paper behind his back and then he pleaded with me. What did you just hide behind your back?
Please. Please, turn a blind eye. This is my lifeline.
But you know it's against the rules.
You're the only person who's seen. If you just agree to keep quiet.
All right, then. But what's on the paper?
A last will and testament. This will is the only weapon I have left now.
How can a will be a weapon? So I decided to pretend I'd seen nothing, and I let him keep his will. But then, later, it just seemed to vanish without trace.
What? What do you mean it vanished?
It would seem that this isn't the end of the story of this mysterious will.
Gimme, gimme, gimme.
I was the only person who saw Ahsoki's will, but
somehow it disappeared.
It was after Ahsoki's execution. Which was actually an elaborate jailbreak. The warders gathered up Ahsoki's possessions that were in his cell. They were all to be sent back to his family home in Japan, you see. To poor Kazuma-sama. And you're saying that it wasn't anywhere to be found among his personal effects?
The will, I mean.
That's right, though I didn't search through them myself. But Governor Caden was livid. He was screaming, "It cannot have disappeared completely." That doesn't quite make sense though, does it?
How did he know? In what way?
Well, we'd understood that only Mr. Vigil was aware of the will's existence. In which case, how did the prison governor know to look for it?
Oh, yes, you're right.
I really don't know how he knew. But it certainly seemed as though he knew of the will's existence from the outset. Only he didn't refer to it as a will. What he said was... the Ahsoki Papers.
The Ahsoki Papers?
Yes, the Ahsoki Papers. I can't really tell you anything of the subsequent events. Because, well, of what happened.
Your dismissal and the way you blocked it all from your memory.
I'd forgotten all this until today. I don't suppose it's relevant to the case, though.
Well, anyway, thank you very much for sharing it with us, Mr. Vigil. We're very grateful. Damn it, I'm gonna have to do that Scottish accent again, aren't I?
I'm afraid there's really little more I can tell you. My wife Evie will be here shortly, so I do hope I don't appear rude, but...
No, not at all. Thank you again.
But what will become of you now? Well, impersonating a police officer is a criminal offense, of course. I imagine that once I'm fully recovered, I shall be arrested.
I'm so sorry.
Don't be, please. It was all my own doing. I always knew that this day would come.
Well, I wish you well. Goodbye, Mr. Vigil.
Ah! Before you go, there's just one thing.
Oh, yes? What is it?
The Ahsoki Papers. I'd be very grateful if you'd make no mention of the things I told you about them.
Presumably for some good reason?
It's my understanding that their very existence is a closely guarded secret. If it became known that I'd remembered, well, it could be rather troublesome, I think.
I understand. Some sort of will that Genshin Ahsoki penned just before his death, which the man himself claimed was his last weapon.
I wonder, perhaps that had something to do with his plan to escape.
If there's anyone who might know more about a document that Kazuma's father left behind,
it would be Mr. Vigil's governor. Then we know precisely where we must go, back to Barclay Prison, and Star gets to do her bad, not even Scottish accent again. God damn it. I was hoping I would never have to do my bad attempt at a Scottish accent again, but here we go. Time to do this shit again.
Hang on, I'm moving my chair around a little bit. Ugh, back again, are you? Yes, hello. I've heard all about your investigations. I read the report just now. You found him, eh? Vigil. Yes, luckily. Well, anywho, the laddie doesn't work here anymore, so your case is now to do with Barclay. I wouldn't like you to get the wrong idea about that. Of course, yes, Mr. Vigil stopped working here 10 years ago now, so...
Yes, we've seen his dismissal notice, haven't we? He was given the job.
Aye, Kima, you can very well. So, how about a wee handcuff biscuit?
Oh, they really are like little handcuffs. And as hot as irons, too.
So, what's brought you down here today? Well, there's something else we'd like to ask you about, actually. Is that so? We believe there might have been a document that disappeared from Genshin Ahsoki's cell. Don't mention the papers! I'm immediately mentioning the papers. I think it's been called the Ahsoki Papers or something. How the fuck did you know about that? Don't worry about it. Did I not say Gregson's death is not to do with things that may have happened to Barclay? Leave the past in the past, laddie. Let's not foot about with relevant details. His expressions changed completely. We're clearly onto something here. He's combing his hair, but we can't even see the results of his labor because he's, a little too tall. That murder is botched execution and the whole miserable escape. They were Barclay's darkest hours, a shocking embarrassment. Because the convict had a collaborator on the prison staff, you mean? Aye, for shame. Coroner confirmed the death of the man after his execution, Courtney Scythes. And my chief warder at the time, Vigil, who was in charge of the whole affair.
But Mr. Vigil says he didn't know anything about it.
The rascal wouldn't have said otherwise, eh? More handcuffs?
Oh, how could I say no? You can never have too much iron in your diet. When Mr. Vigil was handed his dismissal notice as a result of what happened, he was so despairing he jumped out of your office window, didn't he?
I did not like to say, but that's just Vigil trying to get out of it. Do you not think he wouldn't have jumped shocked if his crimes being exposed, eh? I do. You would nay say otherwise, wouldn't you? Of course, I cannot shun all responsibility myself. I shouldn't have let him seize me. God, I'm sorry if this accent is hard to understand. It's hard to read! Actually, there's barely any that kens what about on at the time now. With Gregson having been murdered and Dr. Scythe forbidden from having any visitors. No visitors? Someone obviously doesn't want her giving anything away.
Well, we're not going home empty-handed.
And I wouldn't dream of you sending you packing with now, Kimma. Here, take a handcuff or two.
Oh, will it be rude? It would be rude to say no. Wouldn't want to become anemic.
I suppose if there's anybody who might still ken a bit what happened back then, it'd be that last from the forensic division, Maria Gorey. Maria Gorey? That's quite a name for someone in forensic science. Aye, Scythe's daughter. She didn't have no more, just the one. But the wee bairn's fallen into Mom's footsteps. You didn't ever see her with that scalpel in her hand. Oh yeah, the weird, cute one we saw who was wearing a freaking creepy mask last time we saw her.
Mama, what is this?
God, where'd she spring from? And did she just call the doctor Mama? Dr. Scythe's daughter, Maria Gorey. We could do with talking to her. Different last name? I don't know how old she is. Maybe she's also married to a Mr. Gorey? Jeez. So, she's Dr. Scythe's daughter, but her surname is Gorey? Aye, that's some family history, I'm sure, but I didn't ken with the ins and outs of it. She grew up watching her mom working with the bodies of the folk who died in strange circumstances. And decided to do the same with her own life. I cannot understand it myself.
Perhaps she was driven by a deep respect for her mother.
Perhaps. Anywho, she was in charge of Gregson's autopsy, I believe. So she's the sus one who fucking left the time of death off. Right, and the coroner responsible for this incomplete report. Someone told me once that the wee lassie always loved her mom's stories about cutting up bodies. There's even a rumor that she used to listen to the funeral march as a lullaby. Oh, so she's goth. I mean, we could have guessed that already, but still.
Well then, perhaps her mother might have told her about the autopsy from the case 10 years ago.
Aye, I'd say there's a fighting chance at least. After all, that was a life-changing case for all of us. And we really need to speak to Miss Gorey herself about this, I think. Well, thank you very much. I'm not happy about any part of this. Took years for Londoners to finally forget the whole professor business. Can you not get up on this, laddie? Stop asking pointless questions. I'm sorry. I don't like dredging up these painful memories for everyone. Can you not just stay away now? Leave me alone and can I come back here, yeah?
I got one more thing to ask you about, though. How do you kin to know about that, laddie? There's not many folks even here in the prison who've heard of those papers.
Well, can't tell him Mr. Vigil told me. I'm afraid our sources must remain confidential, sir. We've been led to believe the papers are actually a last will and testament. Is that right? The professor's, or rather, Genshin Ahsoki's.
Aye, that's right. You're well informed, Jimmy.
Oh, is that the end of the silent treatment?
But then after the convict's execution, it mysteriously vanished from his cell, didn't it? Heavers, no. You're off at half cock there. Okay, that's quite an expression. I think you did not quite get your facts straight. It was there in his cell, exactly where it should have been.
Oh, not what we heard elsewhere.
Let me just have a wee hook in here, around in here. I'm sure I can find it. Aye, here ya are. See?
The last will and testament of Genshin Ahsoki, written with a calligraphy brush.
Of course, I cannot read a word of those Japanese squiggles. But on mine it says he leaves all his worldly possessions to his son back in his homeland.
Yes, that's correct. That's the gist of it.
So these are the Ahsoki papers? Aye, of course they are. Papers written by Ahsoki, no doubt about it. There's no mystery here, laddie. That's your lot. After all the stramish that sliced of an execution, we sent the man's possessions back to his clan in Japan, and that was the end of it.
I think we ought to make a record of this, Mr. Naruhodo, just in case.
A sworn testament of Genshin Ahsoki that Mr. Vigil claims disappeared after the convict's execution. Apparently Mr. Ahsoki described it as the only weapon I have left. One thing before you go on your way, Mr. Naruhodo. Oh, yes? Those papers are now to do with Gregson's death. I'd prefer it if you did not make mention of them to say the surface. Or rather, I wouldn't just prefer it, consider it an order from the highest levels of government. I understand. You can't tell me what to do. I'm gonna show them to everybody. Ha ha! Okay, so where are we going next? We were gonna go somewhere. I forgot where. Here we go. We haven't been here back here yet. Nothing new in here? Catches your eyes as soon as you enter the room, doesn't it?
Such a bright color. It certainly makes an impression, yes.
They can't possibly commit any crimes, can they? I mean, redheads stand out like a sore thumb.
I'm afraid with our jet black Japanese hair, we stand out almost as much here in London.
I suppose that's true.
You mustn't think of committing any crimes, Mr. Naruhodo.
I wasn't! Here, I'm just gonna examine all this stuff really quickly. Just to see if it gives me anything new, because somehow I don't think it will. Just gonna go through this really quickly. Anything else is gonna give me? Probably not. Oh, Roxy. She settled down in her little bed behind me. Cute.
Roxy, chat says hi. Oh, she's chilling.
Okay, I think that's everything in this room. I don't think they're giving me anything new. Alright. Okay, well, yeah, that's a good idea. Let's go talk to Kazuma about some shit. What's up, buddy? Look at this. Oh, come on. He's not gonna give me anything. Okay, what about, this? Nope. What about... Do you have anything else to talk to us about? No, I gotta present something to him, because it's saying, we still need to do something here. But what? Oh, Kazuma, this is your armband. Yeah, get emo about it. Actually, I think it's yours now. Sorry? You're the defense lawyer. You have a talent for it. I've always known that you would. And now you've chosen to take that path in life. As your friend, I couldn't be happier for you. Or more proud. Kazuma. So you keep hold of that. And besides, I'm a prosecutor now. That armband would have no meaning for me. Well, if you're sure. Thank you, my friend. I'm emo about it! Oh, right, we needed to go talk to the fucking autopsy lady. Where's she? That's what we were gonna do, but it's not giving me the option to... anywhere to go to talk to her, presumably. That would be in the coroner's office. Yeah, but it's not giving me the option to go to the coroner's office. Whermst? I guess I have to show Kazuma something, but what? Fuck it. That? This came up in the trial, didn't it? As something a little dubious, I mean. The fact that no time of death was recorded on Inspector Gregson's autopsy report. Yes, there were some unexpected turns in the courtroom earlier. The suggestion you came up with certainly took everyone by surprise. The idea that the victim died the previous day at some other location is quite something. Well, considering when the pocket watch had stopped and the scorch marks on the candle, it's certainly a distinct possibility. The evidence in the scene both point to it. Oh, hydrate. To be honest, it bothered me too. So I paid a visit to the autopsy room earlier. The coroner responsible wasn't there, but I got a name. It's Dr. Gory. If it wouldn't trouble you, Kazuma-sama, we'd very much like to speak with the coroner too. Of course. The last thing I want is for anything to be brushed under the carpet. Scotland Yard's autopsy laboratory is behind Lowgate Cemetery. By Barclay Prison, you mean? Ah, you know it, do you? The prison where my father was incarcerated and robbed of his life. Kazuma-sama. Well, thank you. We'll pay a visit to the laboratory later today.
Ryunosuke, I want to thank you. What for? For this. You safeguarded the soul of the Ahsoki clan. Well, it is a famous sword that's been in your family for generations. My only slight regret is that I never got the chance to draw it before I returned it to you. Kaduma is said to have been forged by a master swordsmith during the Sengoku Warring States period. I come from a long lineage of warriors, many of whom were expert swordsmen. Well then, you're a chip off the old block, I'd say. This blade, Kaduma, is the symbol of the Ahsoki clan's honor and might. Apparently, one of my father's apprentices even took the blade's name for a surname. Really? Kaduma? It does sound formidable, that's for... Oh, you have got to be fucking kidding me! Von Karma by chance? Perchance? Oh, you've got to be fucking joking. Anyone here who has not played Original Ace Attorney, that shit will make sense later. I cannot fucking believe. 16 years ago, when my father was a visiting student here in London, he had this sword forever at his side. Which is why it means so much to me that I have it by my side again now, too. Aw, there's a smile. And that is all thanks to you. It was an honor. Von Kadum, I can't believe this shit. Now, I have preparations to make for tomorrow. Perhaps I said a little too much. Kazuma, you've changed. No, Ryunosuke, I haven't changed at all. It's you who's changed. I can completely understand your resentment of Lord Van Zeeks given what happened. But the fact is, those events in this case are, well, unrelated. Is that what you want to say? How can you be so sure? What do you mean? Never mind. That man is the Reaper. And it's for that reason that the Inspector was killed. I'm going to prove as much in court tomorrow. By whatever means necessary. Can't let you do that, Kazuma. I know you'll do what you have to as a lawyer. But I'm sure I don't need to tell you that I won't be taking any prisoners in the courtroom. I would expect nothing less. Until tomorrow, then, in the Old Bailey. God, he's hot. Okay, moving on. Bye, Kazuma. Good talk, bud. We're gonna work all this shit out. Gotta work this shit out. What twists await us? Got a little doll collection in here, huh? This place really is creepy, isn't it?
Well, being a dead room, it's probably full of the spirits of the dissected. But actually, there's a rather pleasing scent of roses in the air. Well, being a dead room, the coroner probably needs a bold scent like that to mask the odor of death.
Iris, do you think we could change the subject? Vowie scowie.
What was that?
Dr. Gory? I hope she's cute under that mask. Her hairstyle's cute.
What?
That noise before.
I was sharpening my tools. I'd be dead meat if I didn't keep a perfectly keen edge on them.
Right.
Then following the collagen fibers of the dermis, an expertly sharpened scalpel cuts like cheese. Would you like a demonstration? Oh, yes please, I'd love to see. Then, I think you'll do nicely.
Huh? No, I wouldn't do nicely at all. I'm nothing like cheese. Never eaten it before in my life. I mean, maybe some other time. Never. Was that a tut? Well, we came here to ask questions, so... We have actually met before. I'm a lawyer, if you remember.
You're not dead yet.
What?
So Mama said I wasn't to cut you open. She's so strict about things like that.
Well, good. Dr. Scythe has some scruples, at least.
Oh dear. It looks like she's not interested in talking to us. For the time being, anyway.
For the time being? You mean until we die? I hope that's a ways off. Sorry, but I wasn't planning on dying anytime soon. Surely there's some less drastic way of making her listen. Okay, we gotta show her something probably. Like that botched up autopsy report, perhaps. Dr. Gory, we actually came here to ask you about this.
He was very good.
Good? Sorry?
His skin didn't snag my blade once, and made very little mess. His joints dislocated easily, and his muscle tissue was a pleasure to work with.
We can skip those details! But there is one thing about the report that's caught my attention. You don't seem to have recorded a time of death. Oh, she is Goff.
That's not my fault.
Oh, that made me jump.
But then please, tell us what happened.
So, why doesn't this autopsy report include the victim's time of death then? It's really the most crucial detail.
I was told not to write it.
But what? By whom?
Male Strongheart, the Lord Chief Justice. He came here.
Lord Strongheart came? I knew it! He's suspicious as hell!
He said that from the witness statements about the gunshot and the other evidence, it was obvious. The man clearly died at 5 p.m. on 1st November when the gunshot was heard.
But that's not the time of death you wrote on the report. You didn't write anything. Was there some reason you didn't include it? Dr. Gory, if you're hiding something under Lord Strongheart's instructions, then sooner or later you're going to go to the same way as your mother.
Give it here, then.
What's she scribbling so furiously?
There.
You've written...
What? What's she written? Tell us!
Indeterminate.
But...
What do you mean by that? Why was the time of death indeterminate?
When the specimen was brought in, it was still fresh. So the time of death could easily have coincided with when the gunshot was heard. But there was one small discrepancy.
What discrepancy?
There was some fried fish in the pocket of the specimen's overcoat. And that fish had started to rot.
What?
If the victim liked fried fish, he presumably liked to eat it before it went off.
Well, yes. What are you really trying to say?
It's possible that someone tried to manipulate the apparent time of death.
Manipulate the... Is that even possible to do?
Theoretically, if you were to chill the body in ice, you could delay the onset of putrefaction. And if the overcoat wasn't on the body at the time...
Then only the fish would have started to rot.
With today's science, it's not yet possible to determine if the body was chilled or not.
But today's science is advanced enough to let you freeze a corpse, it seems.
But surely, to chill a corpse like that would require an enormous electrical refrigerator. And I don't imagine many households in London are equipped with such a device.
No, definitely not. But maybe in a factory? Or some other special places?
I don't recall seeing any factories or such like on Fresno Street, though. I wonder if the inspector's body had been chilled somehow. What might the actual time of death have been?
I couldn't say for sure.
But at the most, it might have been a day earlier.
No.
In other words, it would corroborate your previous deduction, Mr. Naruhodo. That Inspector Gregson was killed the day before his body was discovered at a different location.
Did you inform Lord Strongheart of this possibility?
He simply said that there were no electrical refrigerators of that size in the vicinity.
I'm getting to practice my creepy voice for this character. Do you guys like it?
Oh, yes, one other thing. It's something the governor of Barclay Prison told us. He said that your mother, Dr. Scythe, was responsible for confirming the death of the professor after his execution.
The professor.
Apparently, you've always enjoyed listening to your mother's stories about her work, so we were wondering if you might know something about what happened 10 years ago.
That's not all Mama did.
Sorry?
My Mama carried out the autopsy of Clint Van Zeeks as well.
What? What? Really?
Brother of Lord Van Zeeks, the professor's final victim.
The idea of carrying out an autopsy on a member of the aristocracy was completely unthinkable back then. But the detective in charge of the investigation insisted, and it was miraculously authorized.
That detective being Inspector Gregson, of course. Quite an accomplishment for one man.
That autopsy provided the vital clue needed to arrest the killer. And Mama was there for that historic event.
What does all this mean?
You know, that amazing autopsy happened right here in this very room. The Professor and Clint Van Zeeks. They both spent their final moments before their burial on that dissection table there. So this lab, Mama's lab, was instrumental in some of the country's most important events.
She really is proud of her mother. I wonder if you'd tell us more about exactly what happened back then, Dr. Gory.
Okay.
The Professor's execution was Mama's first big case. She had to be in attendance at Barclay's Prison's execution chamber and sign the certificate to confirm the convict's death. Mama's the best coroner in the world, you know. I was so proud of her.
But the execution didn't actually take place.
No. And worse still, Mama actually helped with the jailbreak. I didn't want to know.
Oh dear. You found out recently, you mean?
I believed in her, in Mama, but now I wonder if I'm starting down the same path as her.
You mean because you omitted the time of death on this autopsy report? But that's because Lord Strongheart forbade you from including it.
Just like Mama, I'm sure she was coerced by somebody too.
Yes, that's my feeling as well.
There's no doubt that there were powerful forces at play 10 years ago. The execution couldn't have been staged without a lot of people at the prison knowing about it. Obviously, the prison governor must have been in on it as well. The big man with the little handcuffs, according to what he told us. He was tricked by the chief warder. He says he knew nothing about it. Of course he said that. I'd say the same thing.
Just who was behind that jailbreak all those years ago? You mentioned the autopsy of Clint Van Zeeks. That was at a time when carrying out autopsies of murder victims was very unusual. It's still not a practice that's observed in our country even now. It turned out that he was the professor's final victim, and when the autopsy was performed, Mama was present, although only as the secondary assistant. The person leading the procedure was called Dr. John H. Wilson! That's right, my daddy! And there was one other person present, the primary assistant. He was a visiting student from the Far East. Wait, a visiting student? It must have been my father, Yujin Mikotoba. I had no idea Professor Mikotoba had involved in something so important. But the outcome of that historic autopsy was the discovery of a vital piece of evidence that led to the capture of the professor. So that's how they came to identify Genshin Ahsoki as the infamous masked murderer. Do you happen to know anything about that piece of evidence? Can you tell us any more? Would you like to see the records for yourself? But would that be alright? What's the point of keeping records if people can't look at them? They're filed under V at the back of those cupboards, with the other records from the last decade. Thank you! Let's see. Zeeks. That's strange. What, Mr. Naruhodo? They aren't here. There's nothing under Zeeks. There must be! Perhaps somebody took them away? No. No one's allowed to take documents related to the professor case out of this room. But you're right, they're gone! Well, when was the last time somebody looked at them? Do you remember? It was... Oh, yes, I remember now. It was 2 years ago. Shums! A consulting detective came by saying he'd like to see the records. No, you don't mean... Herlock Sholmes was his name. God damn it, Sholmes! What are you doing? Deep down, I knew that was coming. Do you think he stole the records? Oh, no, surely not. Iris, that can't be right, can it? Iris? Bruno? I hope you don't mind, but... What is it, Iris? I've just remembered something very important I have to do. I'm going to have to leave you now. Oh, this is very sudden, Iris. Well, we'll come with you then. Oh, no, there's no need. You and Bruno can take your time here. Bye for now then. Good luck. Sus as fuck. Wait a minute, little girl. Me? I remember now. You've been here before, haven't you? Have you, Iris? Yes, 2 years ago, when that detective came. You were with him, weren't you? You were a living specimen then, too. That's the way it usually works, yes. Was I? I don't really remember. Anyway, sorry, but I must dash. Wait, Iris. I'll prep a pop for you when you get home. What's the matter with her? She's behaving really strangely all of a sudden. Well, in that case, we won't keep you any longer either. It's been quite a while since I had any visitors. This was really fun. But next time you'll come, I prefer it if you were ready for dissection. I can't make any promises, sorry. It's a bit strange that the records of Clint Van Zeeks' autopsy have disappeared. But I think we've asked all we came to ask now. Alright, let's go Sholmes! Sholmes! Where is the bastard? Sholmes! Where is he? Sholmes? Trunk is new. That's new. The police are still busily investigating the scene in here, then.
But Gina's nowhere to be seen. Where is she?
Yes, it has been blissfully quiet, hasn't it? Perhaps she's out investigating on her own, practicing what her boss taught her.
Well, I expect she'll be back before too long. Shall we wait?
Actually, there's something different about this room since the last time we were here, isn't there?
We could always use this time to investigate more thoroughly.
Well, we already looked at a lot of stuff in here, but we defo have not seen that trunk yet. What's up, trunk? This little trunk wasn't here before, was it?
Oh, it appears to be made of metal. Must be very heavy. I wonder to whom it belongs.
There's some initials on the outside, look. TG. Let's ask one of the policemen if they know where it came from. Tobias Gregson. Oi! What do you think you're doing? Who's this?
Oh, hey, Gina. That's my trunk, that is. Hands off. Gina.
Where were you hiding?
Oh, I don't know. You leave something unattended for a few seconds and every Tom, Dick, and Harry's got his greedy eyes on it.
Just a wild guess, Gina, but...
What? Spit it out, Otto.
Is it fair to say you've only owned that trunk since this morning's trial?
What? What are you trying to say? Come on, this trunk goes with me everywhere. Always has. Where you been for the last year?
Trying not to incur your wrath, mainly.
You should hear them talking at the yard now. They should be ashamed of themselves. They're saying that it was the boss who killed all them bludgers.
Ah, you mean the whole Reaper thing?
Yeah. Apparently the boss was investigating stuff that no one else at the yard knew nothing about. Stuff to do with all them criminals what got off scot-free.
Yes, the ones prosecuted by Lord Van Zeeks who used bribery and corruption to evade conviction.
Well then, obviously it was that bloomin' Reaper giving the orders, wasn't it?
But why would people be suspecting Inspector Gregson of being involved in the killings?
There was a notebook hidden in his office.
Oh no, this doesn't sound good.
It had details about all the crimes that have been pegged as the Reaper's work.
What?
No. Did you see it, Gina? Did you have the notebook? They wouldn't flame and let me, because I'm just an apprentice, apparently. But it was me who found it, and he was my boss. That's right. I was pretty miffed about it, so...
She swiped it.
I sneaked a peek at what it said anyway. Oh!
That's our Gina. So, you managed to see what was written in Gregson's secret notebook anyway, did you?
Way I see it, it's my right to read what he wrote. And what had he written, Gina? Dates, times, places, names, and a whole long list of them. All details about the bludger supposed to have been done in by the Reaper.
Wait, I thought she wasn't good at reading.
But there could be an explanation for that. Perhaps it was a record of the Inspector's investigations into the Reaper's activities. Exactly, that's what I said. That's the first thing you'd think, right? As it happens, it was full of names I recognized anyway.
Well, the Reaper's targets were almost exclusively known leaders of London's criminal underworld.
Well, yeah, but there was one name right at the end that was a bit odd. At the end of the list, you mean?
I'm pretty sure the date against it was 31st October. Oh, the day before the inspector was found dead.
So, what was the odd name?
It wasn't like a name I've ever seen before. It was something like, Nah, it's no good. I can't remember it. I don't think it was an English name, put it that way. Oh dear. What a pity. There was something else too. I don't know if it matters, but the same name kept coming up over and over. Shin, it was. Don't suppose it means anything, but...
Yeah, it does mean something. Did you say Shin?
Yep. What? Does it mean something?
Lord Van Zeeks knew the name too. He mentioned her as well. The woman who actually did the deeds. And now we find out her name appeared in Gregson's secret notebook? We haven't seen you for a little while, have we, Gina?
Well, of course not. I've been busy, ain't I? Investigating and that. Well, that's at the art of trying to trace the boss's movements the day before it happened.
The day before? That would be the undercover investigation into the Red-Headed League, then.
Only the boss didn't go, did he? You found some cove what was pretending to be him, didn't you, Otto?
Yes, that was Mr. Vigil who actually went to the park on Lime Street that day, posing as Gregson.
Well, anyway, you ain't the only one turning stuff up. I've got my own ways of getting results.
Toby!
With me and me partner here get together, there's nothing we can't track down. Oh, little Toby! He's such a faithful friend.
So, have you tracked anything down, then?
What do you think, yeah? Of course we have. Can't tell you, though. Police business, innit?
Yeah.
Anyway, the point is, if you lot ever need any help, you know who to turn to, right? Being the L-Hound here.
Right, because he looks oh so hellish honest. Gina, about your Hellhound there. Picking back up, let me see him.
Chief Inspector Toby, you mean? He's a pride of the force, he is. In Japanese, police dog means something quite different and not altogether nice to those involved in crime. But here in Britain, it's a wonderful compliment, it seems. For a canine, at least.
It should be. After all, in the Great Exhibition case the other day, it was Toby here who managed to locate Drebber's workshop.
Maybe it's time for another demonstration of what this super dog can do, eh?
Do we have something the Chief Inspector could catch the scent of, I wonder? Do we? I mean, maybe the gun? Maybe the gun, maybe the wig? Well, Chief Inspector Toby, if you wouldn't mind having a sniff of this. He's so cute. He might be a little too keen, don't you think?
Yeah!
The Chief Inspector made short work of Gina there. Look what he's gone to.
Oh my, that trunk still clearly has a very strong scent. Of Inspector Gregson.
In other words, it must have belonged to him.
Blah 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 blah. Oh, all right. It's a fair cop, I suppose.
And you nearly got away with it too if it weren't for us meddling kids and your dog.
You always talk so proudly of Chief Inspector Toby's nose and what it can achieve. Did it not cross your mind that he might identify something that was right next to us? Yeah, that was a bit of a bloomer, wasn't it?
That's enough now then, Gina.
Yeah?
I think it's time you told us the truth about that trunk.
It wasn't like that. It just wasn't.
What are you talking about?
I know what's going through that head of yours, but that ain't what happened.
Alright then, what did happen?
Well, like I said before, we were trying to trace the boss's movements. We let Toby here have a whiff of the boss's overcoat. As soon as I'd done that, he went off like a shot. Straight to that sandwich.
A sandwich? Not to a bag of chips?
Mr. Naruhodo, I believe Gina means the witness.
Oh, I forgot about that sandwich.
Yeah, he had it in between them wooden boards of his, the boss's trunk.
You mean when they heard the sound like a gunshot and all piled in here?
Exactly. He nabbed it from the scene.
Bruh.
Goodness. Yeah, the chief inspector gave that sandwich a good grilling, and you know what he said?
I thought it might fetch a good price and the chap wouldn't be needing it anymore, so... but that's all I did. Nothing more, nothing...
Would you, Adam and Eve, the cheek of it, eh? Stealing the dead boss's stuff to flog.
So Miss Venus wasn't the only one to meddle with the scene of the crime, then.
How could they? So anyway, that's how it happened. And it's a pretty decent trunk, so I figured I might as well make use of it. Is there something wrong with that? Well,
maybe you and Mr. Sandwich should try to find the answer to that question together.
I think perhaps that trunk should be turned over to the police, don't you? What are you on about? I am the police.
Gina, if you wouldn't mind, could we maybe examine it?
Yeah, all right then. Do what you want with it. Thank you. We shall make a detailed report of our examination of the evidence.
Let's look at the suitcase. Oh, I will deal with that later. Have you seen this huge gash across the side of the trunk here? It's gone right through the leather and into the metal behind.
Gosh, for a metal chest like this to have been so badly damaged, whatever made the gash must have struck the side of the trunk with considerable force.
Wonder how it happened. Well, let's have a look inside. Look, there's something inside.
Oh, let's see. It appears to be a passport, authorizing him to travel overseas.
Was Inspector Gregson about to go on a trip abroad then?
Perhaps the date of departure might tell us something. That was... Oh!
What is it?
It was for travel on 31st October, just one day before the incident.
What? Really?
Huh.
Gregson went to France the day before his body was discovered. Interesting. Ah, bloodstain! Look at this dark stain here. Do you think?
Yes, I'm afraid so. I think it's blood.
Ugh, I knew you were gonna say that. That presumably means...
that this was present at the scene when Inspector Gregson was killed. It's the most logical conclusion, yes.
I think Gina's been carrying this around with her. If you didn't know any better, I suppose it does look like a grease stain from all the fish and chips. Anything else? Anything else? Looks like that's it. It's upside down. Ah! Okay. I think that's it. Oh yes, hydrate. Sip. What's the matter with Toby? Why is he acting so aggressively towards me all of a sudden?
Mr. Naruhodo, be careful! It must be the trunk!
Oh no! Ah, attack dog! Attack dog! doing? You gotta lick his face off! Mr. Naruhodo? Mr. Naruhodo! Gina, quickly, hail a carriage! Did Toby fucking attack me? Okay. Oh, Mr. Naruhodo, are you alright? Miss Susato? Hi, Sholmes! Welcome back to the fray, bud! You and me, we need to have a conversation! Ah, conscious again at last. A blessed relief, my dear fellow. After all, to drop dead after moderate licking by a small terrier. Most unseemly. What is or isn't just seemly is irrelevant here, Mr. Sholmes. Yeah, we got fucking bodied by a dog. Like a little baby dog. So glad there's no lasting damage. How are you feeling? I'm fine, thank you. Did you bring me back here? Ah, what's this on my head? A bandage? Sadly, we had no ice, so that's a compress of sugar water. Sugar water? Don't worry, Mr. Naruhodo. It's a first aid treatment that my father taught me. Oh, thank you. So, let us take tea when you're feeling up to it. But of course, no sugar in the patient's cup. Yeah, the bump on my head is throbbing sweetly enough, don't worry. Whatever you feel ready, then. Look at him fucking just standing back there all suave. Sholmes! We need to have a conversation, mister! Thank you for your concern, Mr. Sholmes. My dear fellow, think nothing of it. I must say I was quite startled when I heard that you'd been attacked by a dog. For a moment I feared that the infamous murder of so many had come back from the dead. You mean the professor? Fortunately, I see your prized throat is unscathed. That stiff, turned-up collar of yours obviously afforded some welcome protection. Was I that close to death? All I really remember is the dog licking my face over and over and over again. Well, if you wish to avoid such troubles in the future, a little mustard spread on the cheek should do the trick. Dogs hate mustard. I should think that would balance the sweetness of your bandage rather splendidly. I need to talk to Sholmes. Let me do it. Are you alright, Mr. Naruhodo? It's rather unusual to find ourselves here in the middle of our investigations. It's just occurred to me that I might have forgotten something when we left this morning. Please don't worry. As long as you continue to investigate thoroughly, you won't go far wrong. Oh, yes, of course. Must get back to work as soon as possible. Sholmes! Go downstairs then, maybe? Is Iris here? She was acting sus AF as well.
Mit dem Schwarzbiergebot brodelt wie ein Feuerberg. Den Schloss mir verbrannt. Hopfen deine Wut.
What has happened here? What on earth is going on in here? Am I having a bad dream? No, it's an old German folk song. Rather fine rendition, I think. That's the least of my concerns. Iris? Iris, what's the matter? Iris? Who is that sprawling, that relaxed gentleman over there? That's Susato's dad, isn't it? Iris? She even listening? Excuse me, sir. I do apologize for troubling you whilst you're singing so merrily, but would you be kind enough to explain the situation? Well, that worked. A crooning gentleman and mute young girl.
Rather tantalizing juxtaposition. And one that appears to have incited the gods of deduction within me to find their voices too. Ah, Mr. Sholmes? Do you mean...
Iris, what did you do?
The strains of reasoning within me are playing now as a delightful duet. One melody sings of a reunion full of nostalgia, whilst the other is a morose theme about the great secret you're trying so desperately to conceal, Iris. She's turned as white as a sheet.
So as usual, you've instantly seen to the very heart of the matter.
And by the time my own brief performance is over, I feel sure this gentleman's song will reach its finale. So then, to Music Land, where all is sweetness and delicacy and harmony. Pray, do enjoy Sherlock Sholmes' latest logic and reasoning spectacular.
Alright, fine, let's do the fucking dance. You know I love the dance, you son of a bitch. Oh, that was cute. Wait, his little silhouette changed because he's in his casual outfit. That's a nice little detail.
Firstly, we consider the gentleman's nationality. Clearly he is a German with no grasp of the English language, as evidenced by the Germanic song he sings and his apparent inability to understand when asked to desist. So, why is the man here at all in apparently such high spirits? The answer, of course, Iris, is clearly known to you. Indeed, we need only to follow the gaze of those bright young eyes to unravel that particular part of this mystery.
She's got something in her mouth that she's hiding. That's why she's not opening her mouth.
The reason for the man's mildly irritating warbling is revealed by the herbal tea. You obviously offered our German guest a cup of your latest herbal blend. The tea's delectable flavor has made the man's spirits soar and resulted in this joyful ditty tumbling incessantly from his lips. I eagerly await sampling the flavor myself, that I may join the fellow in his state of elation. Now, to the next question. Who exactly is this gentleman availing himself to so thoughtfully of the settee? As it happens, a number of years ago now, a certain gentleman of German origin engaged my services in solving a particularly delicate case. He required the retrieval of letters once sent to an acquaintance that might have proved problematic. In order to conceal his noble identity, he had also arrived at my office in a mask.
Were we talking about this previously? How that was like part of a Sherlock Holmes story? Or Sherlock Holmes story?
The gentleman's name was Wilhelm Gottfried Sigismund von Olmstein, the King of Germany. If my memory serves, the mask worn by this gentleman are identical. Yes, there can be no question. That mask belongs to the King of Germany. It would appear that His Majesty remembers the fine service I afforded him, and has decided to show his face again, mask and all, in order to express his gratitude. A well-mannered monarch indeed, wouldn't you agree, my dear fellow? So, the identity of this masked visitor is in fact my former client, the King of Germany. Indeed, his son is currently in London as well, enjoying the wonders of the Great Exhibition. We met him in the previous case, very briefly. Which leaves us with one remaining imponderable. Yes, you, young Iris. But your apparently inexplicable silence is unable to hide the truth. Yes, the reason for your muteness is concealed inside that knapsack. A £5 note, I believe. I must say, as your compatriot, I'm deeply saddened. It would appear that you've allowed yourself to be bribed into silence by His Royal Highness, earning yourself some spending money in exchange for keeping quiet about the King's secret. And now, the final piece of the puzzle. What is this secret you strive to hide with your silence, Iris? Ah, yes, we need only follow that brief involuntary twitch of your eyes to find the answer. You were attempting to abscond with that coffee cup.
My favorite coffee cup, in fact. Or should I say, the handle of my favorite coffee cup. It appears that his high-spirited highness broke it in the midst of his high jinks. Which leads us to the sad truth. My favorite coffee cup has been broken by the King of Germany, and Iris, you tried to conceal it from me.
Every time he does that pose with, like, his hands up all angry, I want to, like, Photoshop a Rubik's Cube into his hands. I think it would be cute. I shall have a bill sent via governmental channels to the German royal family for its replacement. And thus concludes Sherlock Holmes's great deduction of this painful puzzle. Listen, I know he's hiding shit from us, and I know he's been like a shady bastard for like a while. But I still love him, god damn it, he's so cute. I'd be so much more upset if he wasn't so cute. Character designers knew what they were doing. With your silence as well, the fellow's jovial warbling rather rings in the ears, does it not?
Mr. Sholmes? I must say something does rather trouble me. Pray, Mrs. Otto, do tell. His Royal Highness doesn't appear to have moved a muscle since we arrived.
Ah. And you haven't said a word either, Iris. Morality is not important when it comes to hotness. Look! Shut up. If Mr. Sholmes has it all right, you might as well own up to it now. Your reasoning isn't entirely without substance, I must admit. And one other thing, Mr. Sholmes.
Yet another grievance, Mr. Naruhodo? Surely not.
Well, I actually read the story of that case recently, the one you were just describing. According to that, at least, it wasn't the King of Germany, it was the King of Bohemia.
Goodness, was it? Yes, that's quite true. Master Gotz, the prince, testified to that in court. In his words, I have come to see the great exhibition all the way from my home in Bohemia.
I would ask that you keep that minor error to yourselves. It could easily become quite a scandal. A scandal in Bohemia, perhaps? A scandal in Bohemia, perhaps? I only know the titles of Sherlock Holmes stories of the ones that were in the BBC series a while back. I only watched it once, but I can remember some of the titles of the stories based on that.
I believe, Mr. Naruhodo, that it's our turn now to make some corrections to a number of minor errors that may have slipped in.
Yes, even Mr. Sholmes is willing to admit he might be slightly wide of the mark this time. Although it's clear that Iris is definitely hiding something. We need to find out the truth behind this mysterious scene. But one truth is incontrovertible. My favorite coffee cup is no more. So, shall we embark again on a joint presentation of Sherlock Holmes's Logic and Reasoning Spectacular? See, look, his silhouette changed because he's not wearing his coat this time. That's a very cute little detail. Okay. German with no grasp of English. Singing a song. He's totally not. But of course, Cyrus is clearly known to you. You'd only followed the gaze of those bright young eyes. The reason for the man's mildly irritating warbling is revealed by the herbal tea. So what? It's some mix of herbs that gives you the urge to sing?
Goodness, I should like to try some.
And I'd like to hear your singing, but this man... Just how long does he intend to keep up with that tune, do you suppose?
As I said, he's been shocked still the entire time. And if you look closely, his lips aren't moving either.
So I'm not sure what's actually responsible for the spirited singing. But I suspect the answer lies at the end of Iris's gaze.
Yep.
Take that!
The reason for the man's mildly irritating warbling is revealed by the gramophone. Indeed, for no well-bred gentleman could break into an obscure folk song when making a social call. In other words, this gentleman isn't singing at all. In fact, it would appear that the fellow is unconscious. Yeah, the music seems to have stopped now. I ask you, Mr. Nidahodo? Yes? Why would I have purchased a recording of that gibberish? How should I know? Well, never mind. On with the deduction. Who exactly is this gentleman availing himself so thoroughly of the settee? As it happens, something something King of Germany. Memory serves, the mask worn by this gentleman is identical. Although we've already established that it was actually the King of Bohemia, it seems Mr. Sholmes intends to persist with this Germany theory for some reason. Come to think of it, the young prince was wearing a mask as well, wasn't he? Master Gotts? The boy whom you've had in tears? Don't remind me. Or anyone else. He cried with umlauts, it was very annoying. Do you suppose all members of the aristocracy of mainland Europe wear masks? I'm sure they do. Well, probably anyway. Point is, that mask doesn't belong to any king. No, that's right, as we well know. Because we can identify the true owner of this mask. Kazuma! Ahsoki. My buddy boy. My boy fam. Yes, there can be no question. That mask belongs to Kazuma Ahsoki. In other words, my memory is sublimely unreliable. Only you could try to make that sound positive. Kazuma's mask has been languishing on this metal chest for several days. Though that doesn't explain why this gentleman is wearing it now. But it is now a simple matter to determine our guest's true identity. After all, the gentleman is unconscious. We need only excuse ourselves in advance, gently lift the mask, and peer beneath it. Yup, Susato dead. We all knew it. He's having a nap. I don't believe it. Father! I'm afraid, Miss Susato, you must be mistaken. No, I think not, Mr. Sholmes. Then it would appear our logic and reasoning has once again revealed the truth. This mysterious visitor is my unconscious father, Yujin Mikotoba. Oh, she did the pose! I'm so proud of her. The logic and reasoning, or just looking and saying? I love the framing. God, fucking Rinosuke's face. I love him so much. Which leaves us with one remaining imponderable. Yes, you, young Iris. What do you have in your mouth? Spit it out. Unable to hide the truth. Reason for your muteness is concealed inside that knapsack. So that's a 5-pound note poking out of Iris's knapsack, is it? Oh dear, I can't be sure. Most money that we encounter is in coin form. I know. I'm not even sure if we've ever seen any banknotes here in Britain at all, have we? But anyway, Father would never have paid money for Iris's silence. Certainly seems to be the silent type himself, though, judging by his present state. Must be some other reason for Iris's silence, I suppose. Perhaps what Iris is trying so hard not to give away with her eyes is something entirely different.
look around at some stuff, figure things out. This metal chest? It contains many important documents, doesn't it? Yes, he tells of all the cases Mr. Sholmes has worked on over the years. Written up by Iris's father, if I'm remembering correctly. Iris insists that the chest is kept locked at all times. She's never once shown me inside. Well, its contents are invaluable to her, I suppose. Oh, it's open! I didn't even see that. And entirely irreplaceable. But look at it now. The catch is unlocked for once. Yeah, so it is. That's hard to ignore. Very. I've never seen that chest unlocked before in all the time we've been staying here at Baker Street. Could that be it? I'm not seeing anything else that's super obvious. Oh, it's concealed inside this... yeah, okay.
Take that!
Inside the chest. Yes, the reason for your muteness is concealed inside that metal chest. An excellent observation, for upon closer inspection there is something different about the chest's appearance. It's kept locked at all times, yet now the catch is open. Evidently, this has something to do with your refusal to speak, Iris. But it's a simple enough matter to incite you to speak, I'm sure. I merely need to open this chest. Here we go. No! Hurley, don't! Mr. Sholmes! Hurley! Oh my god. Really? Bonk. He's dead. Never! Oh, Hurley, I told you not to open it. Ah, so you found your voice now, Iris. Ah! In other words, what just happened clearly reveals the truth here. We're just gonna finish it without him. Yes, the real reason for your silence until now is... This is somewhat different to the usual dance of deduction you perform with Mr. Sholmes, isn't it? Well, he's left me alone on the ballroom floor, so I'm gonna have to dance this next part solo. And anyway, I need to get to the bottom of this for my own peace of mind. And now then, Iris isn't usually the silent type, so... You mean you don't actually know the answer yet? Despite knowing the point of the finger before. Miss Susato? Sometimes a man needs to point his finger first and think later. I feel like that, if that's not a direct quote, that is a heavy reference to a conversation that happens in one of the other Ace Attorney games. Point first, think about it later. The Naruhodo clan motto. Oh, well, if you say so. I think we better examine Iris more closely and try to rescue the situation then. Yeah, she had a key in her mouth for some reason. Yes, the real reason for your silence until now is that key behind your back. Ah! When Mr. Sholmes was thrown into the air before... Just before you called out to try to stop him, you slipped something out of your mouth. That something is the key you now have in your hands. No doubt the key to the chest. You're so clever, Runo! So now it becomes clear. Thanks to Mr. Sholmes' graphic demonstration, we can well imagine what happened here. But... Professor Mikotoba also opened that metal chest, only to be punched into the air and land sprawled on the settee. But wait, that doesn't explain all the facts. What about the stylish scarf and the cup of tea, and above all, why would he be wearing Kazuma-sama's mask? Well, for those curious details, I can think of only one explanation. Clearly, an unbelievable miracle took place in this room. Isn't that right, Iris? Yeah. Consider how the room was arranged before this whole painful experience took place. When Professor Mikotoba opened the chest, completely unaware of what awaited him inside, the mask was flung into the air just as he was, only to land neatly on his face when it fell back down.
Ryunosuke, don't be a Sholmes. And the teacup's journey through the air ended when it caught on the unconscious professor's finger. Ryunosuke. You mean to say that the stylish scarf is actually just a tablecloth? And this is the great detective's office, after all. A place of miraculous deductions. Apparently, when Sholmes is unconscious, next of kin of his brain falls to Ryunosuke. Which is... Would you expect anything less?
Yes, you're right. It happened exactly as you said. Brilliant, Runo!
Thus concludes Ryunosuke Naruhodo's great deduction of this punchy puzzle. But, like, no.
So then, why don't I make a fresh pot of tea for us all?
Objection!
Ah! An admirable performance, Mr. Naruhodo! But in the final act of the show there, you rather missed everything of importance. Mr. Sholmes? If you would cast your mind back to my earlier deduction. Iris, clearly you're hiding a great secret. Yeah. She is, from the look on her face. Mr. Sholmes must be right. Look at that fucker's face! He's smug as shit. He's like, yeah, he's like... Mr. Sholmes might be right. Whatever that great secret is, the cat isn't out of the bag yet. Look at this smug fucking face! So I put it to you again. You were attempting to abscond with that coffee cup. It really is a shame about Mr. Sholmes' cup. It must have been smashed when Professor Mikotobo opened the chest.
Oh dear, so many things seem to have been broken here.
But now that the deduction has taken a different direction, Iris doesn't seem to be trying to hide the broken cup anymore.
In other words, her great secret is something else.
So let's put our observational skills to work here one final time then. Her little bag is so cute. Surely this time, at last, the knapsack is going to be the answer.
I'm really not sure why you're so intent on showing Iris's bag to be complicit in these events.
Because it's a sizable bag.
Big enough to carry things around, Mr. Naruhodo. That's what bags are for.
It's so cute. Look at the little keychains. So the knapsack might never see the limelight, you mean?
I really wouldn't like to say.
Mr. Sholmes' favorite cup.
Or what's left of it. Just the handle.
It was obviously hurled into the air along with Professor Mikotoba. If only it had been this cup that had been caught in his finger before it hit the floor.
Yes, but anyway, whatever Iris is trying to hide, it's clearly not this handle.
Ooh.
Take that!
You are attempting to abscond with that case file. Iris, as you know very well, nothing escapes the attention of a great detective.
Oh, no.
We visited Scotland Yard Autopsy Laboratory earlier today, and Dr. Gorey informed us that the autopsy report of Clint Van Zeeks had gone missing. Clint Van Zeeks. Yes, I do seem to recall. And some years ago, I asked to see the report in question. You were with me, weren't you, Iris? You mean it was you, Iris? So those papers you have there are...
I'm sorry.
Forgive me! Oh, baby girl. Look, you can actually see his fluffy hair, though, because his hat's not on and the little silhouette. It's very cute. Send the baby to jail. To jail with you, Iris. In truth, I would like to have thought I could have predicted the booby-trapped chest. But it caught me completely off guard. I was very nearly the late consulting detective Herlock Sholmes. Oh, I'm sorry, Hurley. So you mean this autopsy report really is?
Yes, I took it from the lab, even though I knew it was very important.
Was there something in it that troubled you, Iris?
Not exactly something that troubled me. Something I'd been looking for. When I saw this report, when I saw the writing in it, I knew it was Daddy's.
Oh. The writing? Your father's writing? What do you really mean? Iris? It must be something that's hard for her to talk about. Forgive me for interrupting, my dear fellows. Mr. Sholmes, what is it? Are we gonna do anything about this guy? I feel as though the poor unconscious gentleman on the settee has been somewhat forgotten. Yeah! Father! Perhaps we should find our guest somewhere more peaceful to rest. Mr. Naruhodo? Yes? Would you be so kind as to lend him your bed? We must do our very best to make him comfortable, I feel. Oh, yes, of course. I'll help you carry him up. So will I. No, I can manage alone, thank you. You have tea to enjoy. We wouldn't want Iris's Brutus stew. And because there's no better way to make the professor comfortable than dragging him upstairs like a trunk. I wonder, perhaps that was deliberate. Maybe Mr. Sholmes is making himself scarce to give Iris the chance to talk more freely. We must use this opportunity to talk with Iris. And find out what's going on. Baby girl, what'd you do? Would you like to tell us about it, Iris? About your father?
I'm sure I told you before, didn't I? That Daddy used to be Hurley's partner.
Yes, and that notes about all the cases they solved together are kept inside that metal chest.
That's right. Hurley told me, you see. He said that Daddy's somewhere far away now, so we can't meet.
And that's one way of describing it.
Then, when I secretly unlocked the chest and read through the papers inside, I started to build up a picture in my head of what Daddy must be like.
Well, that's only natural.
You're just like any other girl of your age. I read that Daddy was a professor of medical science, so I studied and took my degree too.
Well, that's only natural, I suppose.
In that respect, you're not quite like any other girls your age, though. But there was one thing I could never find out. Daddy's name. His name wasn't anywhere on any of the notes he'd made about his work with Hurley. But then one day...
And that's what happened, is it? When you saw this autopsy report, you finally managed to work it out. Is that right?
Yes.
So it was the handwriting in the report that caught her eye. Poor little girl didn't even know her dad's name? Jesus.
When I saw the writing on that report, I could hardly believe it. I know that handwriting, I thought to myself.
Because it was the same as the writing you'd seen on your father's case notes?
Exactly. I was desperate to compare the two properly. I needed to see them side by side. I asked the doctor in the laboratory, but I was told I couldn't take the report away. And even worse, I was told that the first and last name we'd be allowed to even look at in there.
So you decided to steal it.
When I compared the autopsy report with the case notes I had here. There was no doubt. The handwriting was exactly the same. It was Daddy's. And the signature of the coroner at the bottom of the autopsy report read Dr. John H. Wilson. So that's how I finally found out. I learned Daddy's name at last.
Sholmes, why didn't you even tell her dad's name? What?
I see. Ever since then, I've called myself Iris Wilson. And that's also when I had the brilliant idea of writing stories all about Daddy's exciting times with Hurley. I decided then and there that I'd write the adventures of Herlock Sholmes. Oh, Iris, I had no idea that stories had quite such a deep personal significance to you.
I can see why the autopsy report was so important to her now. Why she was prepared to break the law to get her hands on it. Was she going by Iris Sholmes before then? Like... I must apologize, Iris. This is really all my fault.
Ellie?
I made a promise, you see, that until the time was right, I'd keep the details about your father a secret.
I know. I've been very naughty. I'll take the autopsy report back to Dr. Gorey and apologize, I promise.
Yes, we'll go together, I think.
Then, let me look after it for you until we get there. I must go and water my herbs, I think. I'll see you all later.
Baby. Poor Iris. She must be feeling awful. I know Mr. Sholmes is here for her, but still.
Ah!
What? How?
What's the meaning of this, Mr. Sholmes?
Mr. Sholmes?
Yulia, hi! Welcome!
You've come at a very dramatic point, I think. Oh, dear me. So, you've noticed, I see. Notice what? Notice what? Let me see, notice what? Clint Van Zeeks, male, age 33, nationality British, 3rd May, between 9 p.m. and midnight. Observations, death from a single stab wound to the heart. Other superficial external wounds indicative of a duel. Recent scarlet ink stains visible on the little and ring fingers of the right hand, but no documenting corresponding ink was found. Vital evidence recovered from the victim's stomach during autopsy. Credit to Inspector Gregson for petitioning so doggedly for the autopsy procedure. No internal trauma noted anywhere in the body. Huh. Yeah, so he wasn't killed by a dog, that's what they all said. So, you've noticed, I see.
But that would mean...
What on earth's the matter, Miss Usato? Turned as white as a sheet.
It's this autopsy report, Mr. Naruhodo. The one from 10 years ago. The writing
isn't Dr. Wilson's at all. What? Huh? What do you mean? How could you possibly know that?
Because I know this writing very well.
Is it her dad?
This writing
is my father's. Oh, fucking hell! What? Professor Mikotoba's? I knew her dad was involved! I said it so long ago! And the game was like, oh no, her dad's not involved, her dad's in it, dad's totally not involved. I said so many sessions ago that her dad was involved somehow. And I was like, it is totally wrapped up in this fucking case. And the game was like, oh no, he was just a friend of the mass murder, no big deal. I fucking knew it! I called it like 4 streams ago! Ah! Indeed, it's true. And now you know, my dear fellows. No, I don't know anything! What on earth does all this mean, Mr. Sholmes? Because the idea that's slowly starting to form in my mind is just too extraordinary to believe. Please, you have to explain. What the fuck is going on? So, this autopsy report was actually penned by Professor Mikotoba then? But that makes no sense. It's not possible, surely.
not possible? My dear fellow, pray take a deep breath and think again. Yes, you're right. In some ways, it actually makes a great deal of sense. It does? 10 years ago is when Father returned to Japan after his extended study tour in Britain. And prior to his return, where was Dr. Mikotoba engaged? Here. Of course. He was an assistant in Dr. Wilson's laboratory learning about forensic science. And as an assistant, he would have aided with the dissection work, making detailed notes, which would be assembled into the full autopsy report. Once the work is complete, the head coroner would check the contents and put his signature on the document. In other words, the only writing of Dr. Wilson's in the report would be his signature at the end. But she matched the handwriting with all the story. Does that mean that Professor Mikotoba is actually the Watson here? Is Mikotoba her dad? What? I see. So Iris got the wrong end of the stick, you mean? She saw that and assumed the whole report had been written by Dr. John H. Wilson. Which is very understandable, of course. What a complicated situation. Who's your partner, Sholmes? What the fuck? Thinking about it, most of what we know about you, Mr. Sholmes, comes from the published stories of your exploits. Yes, The Adventures of Herlock Sholmes, written by Iris. And we really have no way of knowing what's fact and what's fiction. Most troubling for you, my dear fellow, I'm sure. So what about the supposed partner of yours? Did he really exist or not? Ah, you've come straight to the point, I see. And please come straight to the answer, because you've been hiding shit from us this entire fucking game, Sholmes. I believe Iris explained it in one of her installments. He was a trusted comrade, and her dad was a doctor of medical science too! If Iris and Susanoo are sisters, I will scream. He was a trusted comrade and the only person I could have truly called a friend. And did this partner of yours truly make a record of all your cases? Are his notes really stored inside that metal chest? Absolutely, my dear madam. Absolutely. So, where's your partner now? And what was his name? We rarely meet. You see, he lives on the other side of the world. But if this autopsy report and the records of all your old case... but if this autopsy report and the records of all your old cases were penned by the same hand, and if the autopsy report was written, though not signed, by your famous partner, there would be only one logical conclusion. Pray, impress me. Your partner would have to be Yujin Mikotoba. In other words, Miss Susado's father. Upon my word, Mr. Naruhodo. Yes? You are coming along wonderfully. You have hit upon— Oh my god! Are you kidding me? What? You have hit upon the method at last. No fucking way! You have finally grasped the art of deduction. You mean to say— Allow me to introduce you to my great friend and partner, Mikotoba. Holy shit! No fucking way! Oh my god! Iris and Susanoo are sisters. What did you get up to while you were in London, sir? Wait. He banged the coroner, didn't he? Because I said— I'm getting the fucking cover of the game out. I said that the fucking cover of the game. She is there. Her hairstyle, the coroner's hairstyle, is so similar to Iris. And now that I'm thinking about it, her other daughter also has like the weird little hair bows. And Susanoo has the hair bows, but they're just like down there, like slightly different shape. But oh my god, he fucking banged the coroner. Hey Yujin, what the fuck were you getting up to?
her mom died before he left for Japan, and he was so sad about it, he hooked up with the fucking coroner, and they met Iris, and Iris was told that her mom was dead, and her dad was in fucking Japan. Oh my God! This is somehow more shocking than the Kazuma twist, because I didn't see this shit coming at all. Minus the part where I did, like, a little bit, with my offhanded comments, that turned out to be totally fucking right. Holy shit! No fucking way! Oh my God. I fucking drink my voice. I'm gonna lose my voice to this game twice now from all my fucking screaming. Oh my God. My hands are actually shaking right now. Fun fact. Professor Mikotoba. Holy shit. Does this mean that you're the real Dr. Wilson? No, my dear, I'm still my old self. Yujin Mikotoba, your father. Oh, of course. This is obviously too much for Suzato-san to take in. It's a little too much for me to take in! I must say, though, how my old friend has attained worldwide celebrity as a great mystery solver is the greatest mystery of all. I still remember the first time we met. Ah, pray remind me. When was it again, Mikotoba? 16 years ago, Sholmes. Ah, yes, quite. 16 years ago. And that's why he had to keep the secret about her dad! Because he was like a Japanese guy, and he had a family back home. Oh my God! I just arrived in Japan with Seishiro and Genshin. I was in search of lodgings close to the hospital. And they were roommates! I was in search of lodgings close to the hospital, some comfortable rooms at a reasonable price. But rents are devilishly high in that particular area. That's right, so I decided I needed somewhere to share lodgings and the expense. And was fortunate enough to be introduced to Sholmes, who found himself in a similar situation. Yeah, I don't think Mikotoba even knew that Iris existed. I mean, he was surprised when we mentioned her earlier. I was a callow fellow back then, a mere shadow of the great detective you see before you now. I was working at the hospital's chemical laboratory at the time, indulging my curiosities for a little gain. And the situation of our cohabitation led to us pursuing cases together, you see. Hard to believe it was a mere 6 years. We had a great many adventures. But in the last year of Mikotoba's stay in Britain, that most infamous of cases presented itself. The case with which you've become rather familiar yourselves, the Professor killings. After the trial, Seishiro and I were summoned back home. Hardly surprising, given the circumstances. So there you have it. As you know, all the details recorded by my trusty chronicler remain in that metal chest. This is just amazing. Professor Mikotoba really is Mr. Sholmes' famous partner. Father? Goodness, my dear, what a cutting look. As your daughter, I'm very proud to learn that you were the great detective's great partner. But nevertheless, there's another mystery that I really must ask you to explain now. Did you bang the coroner? And that is? You know very well what it is. The unresolved matter of Iris's father. Oh, of course, I'd almost forgotten about that one. I should have seen this coming, I suppose. I'm like a little bit lightheaded, like, oh boy, the weight of all these things coming to light is just like, woof. Iris told us that all the notes about the great detective's adventures that are in that metal chest were written by her father. Isn't that correct, Mr. Sholmes? That is indeed what I told young Iris.
But if you're Mr. Sholmes' partner, Father, and you wrote all those case notes, then Iris's father must be you. Upon my word, Miss Susato, you're coming along wonderfully as well. You too have hit upon the method at last. You finally grasped the art of deduction. What? What you've always told me, Father, is that my mother died when I was born 16 years ago, and you left me in grandmother's care whilst you embarked on your study tour of Britain. And I've always accepted that. But all this about Iris... Oh, there it is, Susato-san's ice-cold stare. Now hold on a minute. It was a very complicated... I mean, it's really not what you think. Then perhaps you'd like to explain why it is. There it is. Now the eyes go from ice-cold to red-hot just before she... No, really, you got the wrong end of the stick. Chomp, say something, man. Flip your dad! Flip your dad! That's quite enough, my fiery fellows. Mr. Sholmes? When did he get all dressed up? Whilst I don't like to interrupt this exciting exploration of the past, Mikotoba and I have an urgent matter that requires a short excursion. No, you don't! You're gonna stay right the fuck here! It's very late, Mr. Sholmes. Where must you go? Why, my dear madam? Is that not obvious? My partner and I must pursue our natural enemies. So, get your coat, Mikotoba. The game is afoot. But, Sholmes, I really must give Susato a full explanation, I think. Later, my dear fellow, later. Our carriage awaits downstairs already. You haven't changed one iota, have you? I mean, really. I visit our home after 10 long years. When I open that chest in a fit of nostalgia, I quite inexplicably pass out. And as if that weren't enough, when I eventually regain consciousness, I'm plunged straight into all this. Father, please. Go with Mr. Sholmes now. What? I've no doubt that whatever happened, you were acting in everyone's best interests. I trust you. Completely. I don't. Susato. And sending the great detective and his great partner off on renewed adventures together is more than I could have hoped for in my wildest dreams. Very well then. We'll speak again later. So, I believe your own work is done for the day. I wish you the best of luck for tomorrow. Yes, Naruhodo. Good luck in battle. And in reaching a decision. A decision? About whether to go back to Japan, I suppose.
So much happened that day that I barely knew what to do with myself.
Same!
It would only be later that I'd come to realize how amidst the chaos I'd unleashed were all the clues I needed to finally unearth the truth. And that all the turmoil was necessary to give me the resolve to see everything through.
Oh my god! Wait, and not to be continued? Not to be continued? Not to be continued? Oh, fuck! What? The last trial is the same trial? Okay! Okay! Okay, I guess we finished case 4 tonight! Okay! Okay! That's not... Okay! I guess we're done with case 4! I guess case 5 was the last... Okay, because I was thinking, like, well, if all the character drama's happening in case 4, then what the fuck is gonna happen in case 5? I guess it's rolling over into case 5 then. Has that ever happened? Where the trial, we just moved on, and the last case wasn't... It still says 4, though. Final chapter. Holy shit. Okay. I guess we're starting case 5 next time. Holy shit, this fucking game! What in the world is happening? What if I might finish before the con? Holy shit! I was worried I wasn't gonna finish this game because I figured we had a whole other trial before this game. Con is a Halloween weekend, but I'm leaving that Wednesday. So like the Wednesday before Halloween. So we still have like another whole like week and a little beforehand. So we might finish this game before we go to AWA. So a week and a Monday. Yeah, and possibly a Saturday, depending on how much progress we're making, because I don't think we're going to be D&Ding next Saturday. Let me go ahead and quickly do a raid, because my dog is looking like she wants to go out. Okay, it looks like Bia just started streaming, so we're going to raid a Bia. Yee. Okay, so I'm going to go ahead and do my shilling. Thank you guys for watching. Holy shit, this was a lot. If you haven't already, you should join my Discord. Cause I revamped it today, added a bunch of new channels, including one where we just rant about Ace Attorney, and I'm gonna be putting some stuff in it tonight. So yeah, you should join my Discord server. And also, if you want to know about future upcoming streams, you can join the Discord, and you can also follow me on Twitter. I have a Twitter specifically for streaming and VTubing stuff, and also just for general. But I do a lot of cross retweeting, so important stuff will be seen no matter who you follow. Also, one more thing, if you like Ace Attorney and you want to buy some stickers, I've got some stickers on my store of the 6 main Ace Attorney characters, and I will probably be adding more Ace Attorney stuff in the future, because, anyway, I had to go take my dog for a walk, and just reel. I have to kind of raid and run, because I gotta go take my doggo out. But when you get over to Bia's stream, yell star raid at the top of your lungs and then say something nice about what they're drawing. It looks like they're just getting started with something. But go say hi to Bia, go follow Bia. They have very good art and deserve some love. Raid is going. I'm gonna go now, bye! Fairly well, friends!